In
All
three,
right.
two. Oops.
Welcome to the latest episode of The Circle. Uh, Tonight, I'm joined by Uriah and Luke to begin with. And just to let everybody know, the link is already posted. I'll say that a couple more times within the next 10-15 minutes here, so if anybody joins late, they'll know. Tonight's conversation is going to be when is war justifiable, or is war ever justifiable, or
Yeah.
whatever way you want to rearrange that. War and justifiability.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Justifiability.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and start like usual. And Uriah, you want to go ahead and get us started there and give us your point so we can all take off from there?
Okay.
It's usually
Well,
your topic, but I just figured, why not just continue like usual, huh?
uh, um, I I would have to say war can be justifiable in extreme necessary circumstances. So, if, for example, if the actions of one government would to other to the safety and protection of of a multiplicity of governments and would eventually, if that regime were to be the overall, if you take the idea of that regime being the overall ruling system, um, if it would be if it would lead to more harm, then I would say that war would be justifiable.
We, we
Okay,
should we
so
should choose the one who doesn't make much harm, who makes the less harm.
yeah. So what you're
Right.
saying basically is to inflict such a grievance would have to be in specifically to avoid further or more grievances, basically.
Right. The well-being of the many outweigh the well-being of the few, basically, in that circumstances, because the purpose of that government would only end up creating more harm and more victimization. So it has to go with my whole epistemology on morality, and so.
Now, when was it? Last week? No, I think week before. Crap, now I can't remember when it was or who I
About
was talking to.
about 2.5
Um,
weeks ago, we were talking about gun control.
was that it? We were talking about how we were talking about wars being justified, and I said an offhand comment like war really hasn't been any wars haven't really been justified since World War II, and someone actually made the point that World War II wasn't even justified, and I can't remember who that was or why that person held that point of view or anything. What do you think about the justifications of our wars for the past 100 years or so? Uriah, sorry.
Were they justifiable? Yeah,
Um, well,
justified.
I need to say, because we're given so much propaganda as to why we do things in history class to begin with. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Makes it hard to
overall,
know. Yeah.
I don't think that the like World War II. I don't think that if the that it was a prime Nazi ideology that they would want to get rid of what they considered lower races, and so if that did propagate worldwide, then it would cause more harm, suffering, and victimization than well-being for than there was well-being. So I believe World War II was justified. As far as Cold War, I'm
Mm-mm.
not sure if many of those were justified, or even if the last few are, or if the correct justification, I should say, for this last war on terrorism.
Oh, that's
On
a good
on
that's a
the
good
reasons.
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was a correct justification for going to Iraq, for example.
All right,
True.
well, welcome,
True. Yeah.
welcome, Patrick.
Yeah.
Hey, howdy,
Welcome back.
guys. How you doing? Hey, Luke. How's my favorite Catholic doing?
I'm great. I'm great.
All right, well, what
Um.
about you, Luke? What's your view on the past the wars from the past 100 years or so?
I guess.
Um.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh, Patrick or me?
no, go ahead, Luke.
Okay. Like you said, the most important thing is the well-being of the many, and this is what we might want to take into consideration when we talk about if we should go to war or not. Um, and it's really hard to say. Well, in many cases, it's really hard to say what would have been if we lost the war or didn't win the war. Would the most well in the case of the World War II, I guess it's really clear with the all the elite things going on there. So yeah, most of us would be not in a good shape. The world wouldn't be better. There would be so many people suffering because of the choices made made by the government in
We'd be
place.
eating a lot more schnitzel right now.
Well, I wouldn't be alive for starters.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't have like blue eyes and blonde hair.
Although in my
Prove
defense,
it. No.
no, actually though, if the Germans had won the war, I'd probably be much better at German than I am now.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be better if they had won. Yeah, because of what your status or why?
Well, no, because I took German as my second language in class, so I'd be better at German if Nazis had won the war.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, better at German, like speaking German.
I spent a little bit over 2 years in Germany during the Cold War, so my German was pretty much limited to military signs and social activities.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Ein Bier bitte.
Yeah, pretty much. I used to know how to ask how to get to the train station, how to get to the Bahnhof. You know, I found out. When I was over there, I found out how universal the English language really is. But I also learned that when you're in other countries, although they might speak your language, right, they prefer for you to at least attempt to converse with them, and it's like a courtesy thing,
Yeah, yeah.
And goodness knows us Americans, we like to go over to other countries, get all upset because they don't have the courtesy to speak English.
We're the center of the world. We are the world. The
Yeah.
universal states of America. That's what I said last time. There is a question about war when it comes from one-on-one war. Like I don't like that guy. So
That
there's
doesn't
this
help very
kind
much.
there's this
That one
kind of
guy.
yeah, one guy against another guy.
Well, I mean, you said like that guy. I was saying that doesn't really help that much.
Yes, but I say one-on-one. It's war is really really vague. Could be
But I mean, you weren't just referencing a specific person.
no, I weren't.
Okay.
In general.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. You're just talking about one person. Okay. One-on-one fight. Okay.
Yeah, a
Makes sense.
one-on-one in general. So
Right. I wanted to really quickly mention once more that the link is posted in the comments section if anybody wants to join. Just like that.
James,
Greetings. Welcome to the conversation, James. If you didn't realize, tonight's topic is justification for war. When is war justifiable?
do we have sound, James?
Hey guys, Hey,
Hey,
Patrick,
James.
how you been?
Hey, James. James, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, guys, I want you all to know this is a fake name. I made this fake name because Google made me join Google, and I connected it to none of my real life stuff. My name is Lee. I want you all to call me Lee, please. I'm grabbing a beer.
Okay, James.
No. I guess we can't call the guy another name beside the one which is written.
Call him
in
James.
English, you know?
Say, fuck it, it's not our fault, man. Your name is James.
Yeah. For the time being, it will be James. As long as if you never put
Oh, it's a bit of psychology. I told you that just so you can enjoy calling me James, just to spite me.
reverse psychology. That's a good thing.
You know,
Welcome, James.
I've shared email links with people before with Secular Lobster on it, and so a lot of times people will look at the thread of people who forwarded stuff, you know, and I've had people actually email me back going, "What the fuck is Secular Lobster?" You know, so.
Secular lobster. What is
So have you guys broached the topic yet?
Yeah,
we started off just with generalizations of justifiability for war, and the last specific question basically was, as of the wars of the last 100 years, when was the last justifiable one? I guess basically was the gist of it. The gist.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah, go
Absolutely.
I was, born and raised in a military family. My grandfather, my grandfather's father, my father, my brother were all in the Navy. We moved around a lot during the 60s, during Vietnam and everything. I actually remember being called a baby killer when I was about 9. As far as I'm concerned with wars, World War II was pretty much the last justifiable war because it was the quintessential good versus evil. We knew who the enemy was. The whole world basically came together. After that, Korea, and the Cold War, I mean, that war technically isn't even over, but when you get into Vietnam, it got so political. By the time we went into Afghanistan, the whole country was told it was justified, but then justifiable war looking in retrospect or justifiable war at the time, because no matter how you spin it, we were lied to.
Justified by propaganda.
Yeah, and so I'm torn on this because being a long-haired hippie atheist and stuff, former veteran and stuff, I support the military. I think the military is great. I think there's times we need to send our troops in certain places. It's strategy. I mean, we put ourselves into this situation, but sending people, sending your kids into fight for wars that are totally unwinnable. It to me is beyond just fucked up. So yeah, since World War II. I don't think any war we've had is even close to being justified.
Great. Yeah, and like the Vietnam War, for example, I guess you have this one as an example where lives were sacrificed without reason.
Well, see, another reason too was the Vietnam War. I don't know how old all of you are, but I remember the Vietnam War. Let's say when a lot, I knew a lot of World War II veterans. I mean, I knew a lot. And when they were asked, the only thing people saw about World War II were newsreels, right? And they cleaned them up, right? Because people didn't want to see the ugly part. So when the veterans came home from World War II, people asked them what happened, and they tried to share their stories. And basically, people told them they were full of shit. A lot of people did. So that's why a lot of veterans after World War II just shut up, right?
Oh, okay.
And then after Saving Private Ryan came out, that Ronnie Howard or Tom Hanks film, the flood of World War II veterans that were still alive, that were flooding the VAs and other doctors, other facilities, went through the roof because of that movie was so graphic, you know. But Vietnam was the first time that we ever saw the Vietnam War as itself. We watched it every night watching dinner, the 5 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news.
Yeah.
So it was in our living room. We saw what was going on, you know. And, you know, with these other wars too, you know, I mean, they can hide shit, but, you know, people start coming back. And, best thing that ever happened was, as far as I'm concerned, is telecommunications getting better technologies, you know, reporting wars.
Mm-hmm.
Or we wouldn't know if we were being lied to again, you know. Anyway.
That's crazy, yeah.
You can still get lied to.
Oh, yeah,
But we can find the truth easier.
Yeah, with the internet now, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to find the truth hindsight though, and so I think the justifications that have been given for the last few wars was they sounded good at the time, but in hindsight we're like, what the fuck were we thinking?
Yeah. I mean, it was a military recruiter's dream, you know, post 9/11. You know, the kids were coming to them. They didn't have to go to the high schools, you know, and the colleges to recruit kids. The kids were coming to them, you know.
Well, let me just state that I want to give 3 examples. Okay, Gulf War I, Vietnam, and Korea. I think those could be sticky. All 3 of those could be very sticky because all 3 of those included a nation that we call an ally that's going to disappear off the map if we don't help. And so my main answer is I don't know. I don't know. But politically, I think you kind of have to go save your ally from being wiped off the map. If you're South Korea,
We've got
or Kuwait.
we have ties with people. Yeah, that we have alliances, and those alliances depend on us fulfilling those terms. And part of those terms are if they're getting attacked, if they're in defense, you will help them.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that. You know, what I'm talking about is like right now.
Actually, that was only like the first quarter of my point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I was just interjecting that little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, I think each nation needs to do a cost-benefit analysis. Maybe the error was in the beginning, explaining our policy wrong. You know, maybe we should tell our allies, maybe we aren't going to come help you at no cost, without question. We know our less powerful allies aren't going to come help us almost ever. You know, so was it time to renege on the deal? I don't know. Also, I want to say I don't know about every one of them because in every case, there might have been some information that somebody knew about some greater war spreading to a bigger theater, killing more innocent people. And I just don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But there's always gonna be war, and when you pick and choose which conflicts. I mean, with all the stuff in Iraq going on again, right? Why haven't we done anything in Syria? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the world police, whatever you want to call it, but it's like we pick and choose. You know why we're not going into North Korea right now? Why we're not doing more North Korea? There's nothing there we really want. You know, it's not just Kim Jong-un or whatever his name is a satirical character on Team America or something like that. But There's nothing in Korea that we really want. There's no natural resources. There's nothing there, right? And the same with Syria. How much oil does Syria have? I think in a lot of ways it all comes right back to that.
Well, I hear that often, and I reject that often. It's about what we want. In Iraq, it was for the oil. Well, we sure as heck burned and spent a lot more oil than we ever got. If we ever get any oil from Iraq, it'll be at the world price, purchased by purchase orders by private companies or government contracts.
Corporations, man.
It'll be at the world price. It's 1% of our foreign oil purchases was the greatest amount we ever purchased from Iraq before that war. We never get anything, and I think we know that. I think the reason we don't go into North Korea is because the demilitarized zone is there. If they start threatening South Korea for real, we will go into North Korea.
Have you ever been to Korea?
I've never physically been to Korea.
Huh?
I've never physically been to Korea.
I spent a brief time up near the DMZ, TDY, when I was in the military. It's a weird place. It's you hear things that aren't reported. There's units that have been out in the field before that on training exercises, and they have live North Korean artillery flying over their head. But it's militarized, but it's not nothing like the Middle East. There's nothing. Sure, if South Korea gets invaded by North Korea, we're going to defend them. But we're not rushing people over there right now. Matter of fact, we're cutting people in South Korea in the military, and pretty soon we're going to be adding more people in Iraq and stuff like that, because the Iraqis turned out didn't do so good of a good job of defending themselves. But yeah, to me, I agree with a lot of what you said. I get it. We never get what we're going for. We never get that objective. I mean, Jon Stewart said it the other night on TV. He said, learning curves are for pussies. I mean, because we never seem to learn our lesson. So yeah, it's something that's I don't know. After World War II and stuff, when we started placing people in different countries, started placing people in charge of governments and stuff like that, there were people that warned that this was going to happen, back in the 40s, after World War II, just by the way we were fucking around with, an area that we didn't know anything about,
And what about the other kind of war?
What do you mean? Nuclear war?
No, not the one with military. The one with the little wars.
The what wars?
You mean like fights and stuff?
Yeah,
You mean
fights.
economic sanctions?
Yeah, like this is one kind of war. Yeah, like when you
Like the Hatfields and McCoys.
Sorry.
Like the Hatfields and McCoys.
I don't know what it is.
It's a family two families that have been feuding against each other for a long time.
I know that, Dave. I just said that.
Jeez, Dave, listen to somebody for once, man. Really? God, man, you're so pushy. Always got to get your opinion across, man. Be like me and just shut up and let other people talk, man. Be like me. Be a role model,
Leave my wife in the back.
Oh, that's your wife?
No, that's
Hi,
my
Mrs.
girlfriend. That's
Oh.
my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think it's never going to be fair to the most powerful country militarily ever. Everyone's going to look at you as an asshole for not going someplace and an asshole for going some other place. And if you look at Clinton has said after his presidency, his two greatest regrets are two places that he didn't insert troops.
Mm,
So
yeah. So yeah, again,
Good
we
point.
that's troops and more as we know it with weapons and people and killing. But there are wars where you don't kill. There are wars where there is no death. There's. Do you know about tug war? Do you know that term, tug war?
Tug of war.
Yeah, it's a game.
Yeah, you pull each people on either end of a rope pole, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the question I'm asking. As you see, I use war as the simplest, easiest, friendliest version of the word that we could find. I could find a game of war. But again, is it justifiable to play the game in that case? You know,
Well,
could it be justifiable to have war against another team, for
personally,
example?
when it comes to something like tug of war, I am so anti-war at this point in my life that I'd rather just sit in the back and drink some beers and watch other people play the tug of war. So
Well, yeah, so you wouldn't do it, but is it a
it
good
depends on the
thing?
situation. You know, how drunk am I? You know,
Yeah, you might join in.
do I really give a shit at the time? You know.
Yeah, but that's the question I'm asking is it justified? I mean, the
So
reason why they do it, is it a good reason?
are you talking like in like metaphorically or whatever, like how the Cold War was, where we build up arms and they build up arms and threaten each other with missiles and play chess like that?
No, I'm really talking about the game.
Oh, oh,
No, I don't. I'm not choosing a metaphoric. I'm trying to look at war in a different kind of perspective than the one we're used to. We used to see war as people killing other people, and I trying to. We can use there.
I didn't see over your files.
Hello, we can.
um,
Reconception.
tug of war is fun. It's an activity. It it can teach teamwork. Um,
Teamwork.
yeah, it can. You know, when you've got people working.
Thinking war.
Yeah.
But
I dig
yeah,
it.
that's is it a good thing?
Is it necessary?
Yeah, well, not necessary, but is it good?
Yeah, I believe war games and strategy and things like that are very good for the
Yeah.
brain, for the mind,
For
for
my,
development, for children.
hmm
Absolutely, yeah. Strategy is a great thing to implement into your life, to be able
Yeah.
to do, and those
Strategies. Yeah.
and that's what those war games, that's what war is about in essence, is better, best strategy. And
Situations.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, being able to figure out and attune your ideas to those situations, or your thought processes, and those. I don't know about tug of war specifically, but chess or
hmm
these types of things. A lot of board games. Some board games are just roll the dice. You get two, you go two, and obviously that's not. There's no strategy involved in that,
Yeah,
But a lot of games, Dungeons and Dragons or role playing games,
yeah,
those things I believe definitely, and even if war was a thing that we evolved out of technologically or whatever. I'm just saying if some utopian thing happened where we no longer needed war, that would still be a necessary part of not just play, obviously, for children, but strategy and war games, definitely, yeah, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it builds our cognitive resources and helps sharpen our minds. So I mean the games are good. The actual feeling is not. I've always wondered why we didn't develop some sort of civilized system where we play a bunch of games of chess instead of actually killing each other.
Yeah, that's a good
Well, I would
question.
say the answer is because anyone could bomb the building where you're playing the chess.
And then who wins? Yeah, that's a good question. Who
Well,
wins the
then,
game
well,
if you
then,
bomb the building?
then we have a stalemate.
That's a good answer. Let's make another one. Yeah, the law of the strongest, which is one of the main reason why war started. The stronger guy said, "I'm the strongest, so I should have more things than you do." And of course, I guess I thought about that because of today, and I really looked into it, and I was wondering what was the reason for the first war ever? Like, prehistorical times.
I bet over women. I bet you
Yeah, I was gonna say somebody slept with some dude's wife.
one tribe tried to take the fertile women of the other tribe.
Yeah, fuck land. It was.
Just women. That for the land, it was for the women.
I actually had a history teacher actually pretty much say that one time when I was a senior in high school. He was one of those back in the '70s, one of those history teachers that didn't like try to sugarcoat history. He was more of he was like one of the first people I ever met that was like a realist with history and didn't do the whole turn to chapter 7. Chapter 7 is the Civil War. He delved into it quite extensively.
And he said that it was because of women.
Oh yeah, probably. That's my guess. A lot of people have said that. It's either war, it's either women or land.
Well, I would say,
Actually, I would say it would have been food back
Yeah,
then.
okay, resources.
But any sort of resource, and women were a resource back then. Otherwise, you can't repopulate your tribe. So I mean, it's basically a resource.
Not only that, but you need women from other tribes because you'd be able to repopulate your tribe for a little while, but they understood that genetically, I mean, maybe not genetically they understood, but they understood that if they didn't have fresh women, basically, that they're die off.
Pretty soon it's going to turn out that, there's so few women there, it's going to be like you're having to, like, look at your sister and say, well...
Yeah, exactly, or so few, or so... You're just so close.
hey guys,
If I could be serious for a minute, when somebody mentioned chess earlier, right, and somebody earlier mentioned the Cold War and the whole thing about that, the Cold War on so many levels was the ultimate game of chess. Moving missiles. I mean, I remember there were times where we'd be out training, and they'd say, and the Soviet satellite would come overhead. And we'd know it, and they'd say, at exactly this time, they would tell us, they'd blow a horn, they'd say, stop what you're doing, right? They had...
Did you, I heard like in World War II, when they would go over, they had like fake inflatable tanks and stuff.
Oh, yeah, before Normandy.
Did you guys have stuff like that? Or
No, because we had
stop what you're doing and stand there? Or
no, you're out training, you'd drive through German towns and tear up their towns with track vehicles and then pay the Germans a whole buttload of money for tearing up their shit and stuff. I personally was probably responsible for $200,000 of damage to properties and crops and buildings when I was there. But, the whole thing, they had liaisons that were allowed to observe our military, the user of force, but at a certain distance. We knew they were there. But we were also allowed to do the same thing there. There was a lot of espionage. They talked about, when you'd answer a phone, this line is not clear. They were always telling you about, warning you about meeting young Frauleins in the bar because you never know, be careful what you say. You might be a mechanic in the wheel park. You work on deuce and a half trucks, but you have access to something, and they're just curious, women could have made men do strange and things, you know.
They have powers.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of that, you know, and we were outspending them. They were outspent. You know, it was a war of attrition, you know, economically, you know, and in the end, it turned out that the Soviets didn't have a lot of what we thought they did, you know, and you know, if you remember during the Iraqi war, they had the deck of cards with different Iraqi leaders and stuff. We used to have flashcards with Soviet vehicles, you know, and that was a lot of fun to, you know.
Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's kind of funny that the Soviet propaganda that they were stronger than they actually were actually was beneficial to both sides? The United States wanted everyone to believe that too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. They. I mean, if you ever looked inside, I had the opportunity a few times to look inside of captured Soviet stuff from when the Soviets were in Afghanistan, you know, and their equipment, a lot of it was crappy. The rate of alcoholism, the hydraulic fluids were run with an alcohol base. And when they didn't get their rations, they were known to like drink their hydraulic fluid, leave their vehicles stranded because, and that's quite frankly how we actually got some of, you know, we get like totally intact Soviet vehicles that had no hydraulic fluid in it. You know, we're like, why the fuck did they leave it here? They drank the hydraulic fluid, you know.
That's crazy.
So. Our military isn't, you know, doesn't have a monopoly on alcohol, and well, not anymore, but yeah, but a lot of their equipment was crappy, you know, and you know, we thought their shit was going to be like as high tech as the stuff we had, you know. You know, while we're learning to use computers to, you know, level tubes and stuff, you know, they're still, you know, leveling bubbles and using levels and shit like that, you know. So yeah, but yeah, the Cold War to me it was like the ultimate chess match, you know. Kind of like the Cuban Missile Crisis, you know.
Well, hey guys, I think I know why we're having this discussion, and it's because we each are of two minds. You know, there's our idealistic mind, and then there's our mind that examines practical consequences.
Yeah.
And when those two agree, it's a very easy decision. I'll give two examples. One is a very peaceful bear that's hungry, comes across a wolverine that has a small carcass, and that little wolverine stands over that carcass and just says, "I'm gonna fuck you up if you try and take my little carcass." And that bear says,
"Fuck you."
That bear says, "You know what? I could easily kick that wolverine's ass, but it's going to hurt me in the process, and that carcass is not worth it." In that case, very easy decision for the bear. It doesn't want to get hurt, and it's a peaceful bear, right? Same thing as two guys have a rap battle, right? And just by entering the rap battle, you decided to squash your beef, you know, winner takes all. And then after you kick the guy's ass in the rap battle, he just punches you in the face. And then you're like, and he's going to punch you again. Now you got to fight him. And it's like, well, that's, in a real world, I will defend myself, and in my, you know, it's not a hard decision to fight back, right? You were a pacifist just to choose the rap battle. Anyways, that's it.
Okay, well, you open yourself up for that, so you need to start laying down some sick beats and show us your mad rap skills.
Those were my hypothetical rap skills.
Oh, okay. Well, you're awesome, man. I want to buy your album.
I'm hypothetically the best rapper on earth.
I was gonna say, I hypothetically like you. In World War II, say there's been a lot of things recently that's going around, like Pearl Harbor. They knew about the attack coming to Pearl Harbor, and they let that happen so that they could get a foothold in, get a reason to join the war.
I don't
mean,
buy it.
That smells too much of truth tard to me. Not that there were definitely signs that the Japanese were coming, that it was imminent. The Japanese foreign minister was stalling. Just to say that we let the Japanese attack us so we could. That was the reason why we. It wasn't the worst thing that could happen for like England. It was one of those inevitable things that it was going to happen eventually. Pearl Harbor just hastened our decision to go, but no, to say that they knew that the Japanese were going to blow up Pearl Harbor, destroy fucking battleships, kill hundreds of people, fuck people's lives up. That to me, that's like saying, as much as I don't like George Bush, that to me, that's like saying that George Bush was responsible directly for 9/11.
He was sitting in the Oval Office planning this. Building.
He did it for $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million.
That makes sense.
Well, actually,
so the point I was actually trying to get to, if you're entering a war under a circumstance of like, not like, oh, we need to defend our ally, or oh, you attacked us, so we're gonna type of thing, but in a way of like waiting for, like, we just want to join this war and waiting for it. Even if the war itself would be justifiable, would that position in the war, be justifiable?
I'd want a more specific example if I was going to answer you.
I want to know what you mean by justifiable.
Well, it was just a throwaway remark there.
Yeah, I mean, I can use.
You were going to say something, Ryan?
Oh, I was going to say that that there were about to get warning from the Japanese ambassador in World War II, but he was stuck behind a little blue-haired lady in a big black Oldsmobile.
That's
I guess I didn't get that.
Could be true.
If anybody has ever listened to Ray Stevens, they would get that.
Yeah. God damn it, you're as old as I am, probably.
Okay, that is a funny joke.
No, I'm not, but I'm actually, remember, I was named after the rocket.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Okay.
That is a funny joke, but there is a reality behind that. There were lots of Japanese people that did want to warn us, that were totally against the whole damn thing, and they were somehow restrained. It's been recorded. People have given interviews after the fact. I believe them.
Well, there were also people that gave interviews that said they saw two people behind the grassy knoll.
It's true. I'm not going to say I'm 100%.
Yeah.
But I just don't see these people having a motive to lie, just telling their story.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes people are looking for a book. You never know somebody's real true motives and stuff when they come out with stuff like that later. My thing about with World War II, it was the ultimate good versus evil, but look what we did to Japanese Americans.
Oh yeah.
Everything was taken from them, and they were put in camps, oftentimes with German Americans. And when the war was over, they didn't get their property back many times. They were basically said, well, okay, your timeout's over with,
Yeah, isn't it ironic that
good luck in your future endeavors,
Yeah, isn't it that ironic in no wars does this type of thing really happen? I mean, of course, people, in wars have done this, but not in this type of scale. And then World War II comes around, all of a sudden the Jews are treated like that, and then the Japanese are treated like that over here, and yet we're, like, all the Americans were, like, horrified by the way the Jews were being treated. I mean, slaughtered and stuff. We weren't slaughtering Japanese. But they were being treated the same way other than that almost. And, and no one really... I mean, I don't know. I find that just, like, maybe ironic stuff.
Yeah, the greatest war, against good and evil, and we imprisoned millions of totally innocent people that had absolutely nothing to do with anything.
So,
people
but,
almost tried to do that on 9/11 with, they were like,
Oh, yeah.
if you're wearing a towel head, you just don't, whatever, it's just, that got to me even back then. And I was like, America for the war, but I was still, that was a step too far for me.
Yeah. Well, you put a towel on your head, and I'm sure there'll be a few people be afraid to get on an airplane. You've got the beard going and stuff, and
the airplane part I understand about, but like going into 7-Eleven and seeing, you've seen, every Sunday for your whole life when you go in there to get a Slurpee or whatever, and now all of a sudden,
yeah.
I know it got ridiculous. It got ridiculous just because, you seem to kind of look like the people that we think did this thing, so thereby you are now terrorist as well. Like,
I know a Sikh who got his ass kicked. Him and his dad got their asses kicked at the park. They were totally for the U.S. and everything, and totally against all the Muslims and all this.
Oh yeah. Well, I read somewhere I can't. Oh, we've got a delay thing going. No, I read somewhere actually that I don't actually have the reference right now, but I do remember reading that the amount of Americans that identified as Muslims that joined our military after 9/11 was pretty good too. So. That just showed that not everybody that looks a certain way is trying to blow up the post office.
Well, hey, we're really happy to ally with the decapitating women defiling Saudis when it comes time to support our interests in Oman.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We pick and choose. I mean, we've been dealing with Saudi Arabia. Since before the Ayatollah, when it was the Shah, and he was no prince,
My dad used to show the Shah's daughter around Hollywood when she came to visit L.A.
Well, there's a good chance that he knew my brother's ex-father-in-law because he was with an oil company that was friends with the sheik, and he had pictures of him and the garb and stuff at these places, and he brought back this gigantic fucking hookah thing, water pipe that was probably never used for a good intent, for a good purpose. But it was really weird. And then all of a sudden, when the whole Iranian Ayatollah thing came out, it was like, kind of surreal because this guy's like, God damn, he had to get out of there, apparently. But
I have to interject and say that if a hookah is used for any purpose besides tobacco, it's a better use than its original use. I'm not against smoking tobacco out of a hookah, but smoking pot or anything out of a hookah is a way better use for it.
Not that anybody in this room condones the smoking or use of any type of cannabis substance.
Heaven forbid.
Because that would totally be so wrong and immoral. Hey, Luke.
Yes.
Are you from France?
Yes.
You are? Please don't be offended, but I would like to do a small salute to you right now. Here's my little my in-laws got me this. They were in Paris a couple of years back, and they got me this souvenir Eiffel Tower. So to you right now, I would like to salute. So.
Francis Paris.
I love it that I can. After the beginning that me and him had, I really enjoy the fact that I can make him laugh now. So.
That's literally an erection. You just literally showed him your erection.
Hey, can a guy make a subtle sexual advance to another man without people like? Yeah, I mean, really, come on, people. Yeah.
Don't be jealous. Well,
I am jealous. Everyone knows I have a man crush on Patrick.
I told my wife about you. I told her. I said, sweetie. I said, I've been on YouTube too long. There's a guy that has a man crush on me now, and I show when you friended me, I go I saw that picture exactly like it is now. I said that's him, right? You want to? I said I didn't know whether to be creeped out or flattered because something about putting my brain in Penelope Cruz's body or something was a little.
A little.
Actually, I said Selma Hayek. It was
Selma Hayek.
Penelope Cruz.
Somebody said Penelope Cruz, but
Yeah.
Oh.
probably can't tell. But I'm
Recon is backing up. He's back out of the car, and then he's just...
Is somebody in their car? Somebody's actually in their car?
I don't know. We hear you dinging, Reckon, but we can't hear anything other than that.
Yeah.
You want to try to turn up your mic volume or something so we can hear you talk.
Who?
Reckon.
Oh.
His name is something. He
Well,
told us the other day, and I can't.
Black
Maybe Reckon
God?
just has such a nice ass, so much junk in the trunk that they're legally required to have that beeper on for backing up.
I don't want to say that.
So, as a segue, I guess that hookah thing works as a segue. We were, I guess the next little thing to move on to would be the war on drugs, huh?
Well, that's another kind of war.
Alright.
Is it justifiable? That's a good question. Is
I
the
say-
war on
I say
drugs
no.
justifiable?
No, I think
I
it's
say
bullshit.
I say prohibition of anything that has no victim. And I'm not saying drug dealers don't kill people, but if there was no, if there was no black market, we wouldn't have that whole world.
Liquor store owners don't tend to kill people.
Right.
Yeah,
Rocco.
I remember in the 70s, man, I never heard really of course, the Colombians were, trafficking and stuff like that, but I never really heard of like violence with pot, and I mean, years and years ago, decades ago, an opium den was the most unviolent place you could go because people were high on opium, just getting fucked up,
Yeah.
How many times have you seen a bunch of guys sitting around getting high, smoking the weed, going, "Hey, let's go rob a liquor store and rape some women," because that doesn't happen. You might watch some porn and get drunk, but that's about, but yeah, if I don't have a problem. The only issue with the drug is which one do you say no to, because there are ones out there that will literally kill you. There are people that mix stuff. There's people that.
I say legalize even the ones that will literally kill you. Let's take crystal meth, for instance. You use it for a year, you're fucked up, your teeth are falling out. It's going to kill you pretty soon. Let people do that. Let their teeth fall out. Let them die. People say, okay, they're going to act violently in public. You know what? It's still illegal to act violent in public. But you know what? If they can get it cheap, they're less likely to break into my house to steal money to get their meth.
Well, then you also still have to deal with the problems of the addictions. Not everybody on.
Money, then you can open up all these free clinics.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
hey, one thing I have to interject there. For a while, I did meth like every day for a year, and none of that ever happened to me. And I
may be ignorant.
I used to do coke and got fat.
Okay, maybe I believe the hype, and that fed my ignorance. But
no, see, meth mouth is the thing. But the thing about that is well, it's more when it's smoked, A, but B, it's because people on methamphetamine generally don't eat until they're really hungry, and then when they do, they crave sweets because their blood sugar's so low, and because the methamphetamine stops or really lessens saliva production, and they tend to gorge out on sweets when they do eat, the teeth rot extremely fast. Yeah. So it's not like taking meth rots your teeth. What it is poor hygiene. Poor not forcing yourself to eat, not brushing your teeth, these types of things.
Yeah,
well, You know,
Again,
when they talk about the war on drugs,
yeah,
okay, I hate it when people bring meth into it because to me, meth isn't drug. Meth is Drano and acetone and
yeah,
uh,
Actually,
Sudafed,
stuff.
and
Yeah,
it's made. It's not like I'm not saying cocaine is just this wonder drug. Although I have done a few lines in my life, but and people get addicted to it, but the problem now with like the drug thing, a lot of it's more of the prescription drug abuse because pharmaceutical companies, a lot of people are addicted to drug. When you say, oh, let them do the drugs and let their teeth fall out, you have a lot of people that one day they go to a doctor, right? They have their back hurts, right? They have back surgery, right? Doctor gives them pain pills, right? Next thing you know, this guy finds out he likes these pain pills. He's stuck on these things, right? Um, and the amount of prescription. The only war on drugs I think that is worth fighting is the prescription drug abuse problem, because they have like out here in Massachusetts and Rhode Island and stuff. A lot of the police departments actually carry Narcon now, which is that thing they shoot into you that takes you out of your OD, and it saves lives. Just because somebody's using drugs doesn't mean, sure, they're the one putting the crack pipe to their mouth. They're the ones taking tons of Ativan or whatever the fuck their, pill choice is, but you're still left with a problem of addiction,
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that I mean.
And what do you do with that?
People on meth are just as much of a problem with addiction. People on heroin are just as much. But see, people who back pain and go get surgery, they need fucking pain pills.
Yeah,
I mean,
and a lot of them.
That's the thing, isn't it? Now, I don't agree with. Okay, I'm sorry. What was your name? James. I don't agree with James with what James said in the end. See, what I am a proponent of 100% drug legalization, but I say if you look at it like this, like heroin, for example, the people are ODing because you get a chunk of black tar heroin, and this little corner over here is way more potent than this corner over here. So they do a little bit over here, and they're like, oh, it's nothing. So they double their dose, and boom, they're dead because it wasn't the same consistency all the way through. That's one little reason. Obviously, people OD for it. But you look at when alcohol was illegal, the alcohol OD rate, the alcohol addiction rate, the alcohol the underage drinking, all that stuff was way higher when it was illegal than nowadays. The numbers are way lower nowadays. And I'm a proponent. I believe on 100% drug legalization because it would stop or slow to stop the spread of diseases. You would be able to throw away needles properly and get fresh needles, right? You would get pure product, so the damage to the body and the OD rate would drop. And C, you would be able to tax that and use part of that taxation to actually fund actual rehabilitation studies, actual studies into these things, not these 12-step nonsense. If you did things like my wife had a brain tumor on part of her brain that was releasing cortisol, and the effect on her body was just like if she was using steroids. And now they cut the tumor out, but because it was on her pituitary gland producing this, her brain stopped making it, just like if someone was on drugs, right? So what did they do? They supplement her hormones. Does anybody getting off something like meth get supplemented dopamine or serotonin? You know what I'm saying? So
sometimes, but not enough. I get your point.
Right? There would be if they actually studied how the brain is affected, what happens when someone is coming down from something like this, and supplemented those things just like they do for someone who has a tumor, and their brain, and acts like their brain thinks that they're taking steroids. You see, so and if they were to do this, that would actually help.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
all of you saying is coming from the legalization of drugs,
Yes.
But the trouble I see with that is that
Legalization and regulation.
regulation, legalization, well, one comes with another. We agree, and
Hopefully.
yeah, and legalization is meaning that there is a law that should be voted and passed and say you
Yeah,
could use this and that in these conditions.
right.
Okay, and the trouble I see with that is that law, the reason why we use law, we accept laws in our lives today, everyday lives, is because this law will give us more freedom.
How?
Yeah, that's why you accept.
People break these drug laws because they want to take the drugs, and they get put in jail, and they get torn away from their families, and their children get taken away, all because they decided to smoke heroin instead of drink alcohol. And
Yeah,
yet that brings us more freedom.
Eh,
that's the other way around. I'm talking about the people who respect the law.
Oh, no. See, people want to take drugs. They're going to take drugs. It's disrespectful and disrespecting their humanity by saying, "Oh, I don't want to take this. It's a law, therefore you shouldn't take it." That's the most ridiculous argument ever. It's a law, therefore you'll be happier if you don't. That's
You will
nonsense.
be happier if you respect the law.
That's nonsense.
No,
When alcohol was made illegal and people were not, even the president still had a alcohol cellar. That's just because something is made. What if masturbation was made illegal? Would you
oh
be happier
God.
because masturbation was made illegal? Therefore, don't do it because it's the law, so you'll be happier.
I'd be in prison.
Yeah, masturbating.
Several life terms.
Do you see?
What are you in for?
Do you see how
I'm in here
just
for
because
bank robbery.
Luke, do you understand how just because somebody
He's
puts
foul
into
with the
words
genocide.
in law that you can't do something does not make it something that should be done, just like
Yes,
alcohol.
I do understand for everything, but the difference between everything, like the one not legalizing or making masturbation something that you couldn't do, which is an example that you gave, and having the real laws in place, there is a process that a law has to go through before becoming a law. Okay,
Does that process have anything to do with science and reality, or does it
yes,
have to do with emotion? No, it does not.
yes, it
No, it
does.
does not.
no, it's all
Cannabis right now is in Schedule 1. That means there is no medicinal value whatsoever, yet scientists are finding right now that there is. How do you justify that?
Oh, not only that, but methamphetamine is Schedule 2, which means you can have it with a prescription. It's the ingredient of Desoxin.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
How
used to take.
do you reconcile that with your nonsense, Luke?
Okay, this is, I guess maybe I'm not explaining myself well. What I'm saying is that the law that are there, the laws that are made, the law that are passed, they were passed for a reason.
No, that's
Okay,
bullshit.
can I respond?
Go
Hey,
ahead.
Luke, when they made alcohol against the law in this country, okay, that took the alcohol underground. The amount of people, and it was not a popular law. It was a lot of scare tactics, a lot of propaganda, that a lot of sensationalized stories that got people, there was a propaganda machine behind that. Okay, when alcohol was made illegal, people that used to go out to their local pub and have a regular glass of real bourbon or scotch were making liquor in their bathtub. A lot of people were making poison. There are numbers that are staggering. The amount of people who died literally from alcohol poisoning, right? Even speakeasies that got their liquor in, right, illegally and stuff. A lot of times that way you never knew what you were going to be drinking. You never knew actually when you took that drink of liquor if you were going to be able to walk 10 minutes later. So when they
that's the same thing with methamphetamine right now.
yeah.
I've never once taken it, and addiction with it is a huge problem with a lot of people. But when you say, oh well, methamphetamine is just drain cleaner and all this, yes, that's because people want to take it, and they are willing to shoot up battery acid and Drano if they get that methamphetamine high. And the fact is, if we made it legal and actually made pure methamphetamine, they would be using that, and they would not be taking Drano and acid, and the point would be moot.
Actually, one thing I've actually studied some of the chemistry on it. The Drano the chemicals that they use are just basically household product versions of the stuff that chemical plants make. So when it's made correctly, it's
See, but like I said,
but it's just a lower quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone before about butane, and they were saying if you use food-grade butane, which is very hard to get a hold of, then BHO is fine. But with the butane that you buy in the stores, you're not only getting butane, but you're getting a chemical in there that makes it smell. You're getting a chemical in there that makes it there's 10 to 15 different chemicals in that butane that do not boil out at the same rate, that do not, so those things that you don't even know about. And that's the same thing with the household products that you get in stores. There will be other chemicals in those to help them do those things. They're not the pure chemical.
And look how so many drugs in this country actually became illegal. Cocaine, opium, things like that. Some drugs were blamed on Chinese people trying to steal white women. Some drugs were blamed.
That's how the first drug laws got started. Yeah.
Some drugs were banned because those darn darky jazz musicians. There's too many white women going there. It must be that marijuana. They're gonna get our white women.
The very first marijuana laws were because the Mexicans, those crazy Mexicans, were coming up from the border, and they were smoking their marijuana and going crazy and shooting people. And in Arizona, I believe it was in Arizona, the first the anti-cannabis law was, and that was straight up. It was a way to be able to deal with Mexicans, as it would. They would be able to stop and frisk them because they knew they had it on them, and that's the same thing. The first opium laws were in San Francisco to deal with Chinese people.
Yep.
The immigrants were coming in, and they wanted a way to be able to boss them around and tell them what to do. And that's how they did it.
I have a big biblical argument for legalization of marijuana, and that's that we are required to stone the gays. So we need to have a lot of good weed to stone them.
That's true. Yeah, I've partied with some stoned gays before.
Yeah.
Well, Genesis 9 says that.
Come on, let's not bring the Bible out yet, please. God damn it, you guys want me to rage yet? I mean.
Yeah, don't dignify my bullshit joke. I'm telling you.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. You weren't in the other hangout the other night, so
it was golden though. Trust me, it was golden.
I actually downloaded that.
Let me show you something.
I actually downloaded that hangout.
Let me show you. Look, brother.
Yeah. I actually downloaded that hangout today, and I'm gonna edit out some of my favorite parts. And call it "Don't Call Me Your Brother,"
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You should go look it up when it's edited, because James, it's a good thing. You have a good time. You'll have a good time. Once edited, you'll have a good time.
Another thing that a lot of people don't either understand or know or believe is the timber industry was one reason that hemp was pretty much outlawed, because the timber, the amount of hemp, the usability of hemp for centuries was, better quality ropes, quality products. Henry Ford, Google Henry Ford hemp car. It was a propaganda machine that brought these laws, And now we have a propaganda machine that's, working in the other direction.
Okay, so you're saying that if you were one of the people living at that time where there weren't laws about any drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you said I believe one of the reason why marijuana was not legalized, illegal, became illegal, was because black people were stealing white women.
No,
Yeah.
No.
no, it was
That was
No.
part of.
Mexicans in Arizona is why they stopped, got rid of marijuana.
And it was
in a town in Arizona.
And it was those black jazz musicians that were known to smoke pot, and that were attracting I don't know, lonely housewives or and so and
It was
honestly,
not because that stuff was happening. It was because people were getting in newspapers and writing and saying, "Oh, there's this thing that you guys have never heard of called marijuana." Because everybody's heard of hemp and cannabis, but
Right.
so they called it marijuana and said it's the devil's weed, and said Mexicans smoke it and go crazy, and black people do this and this and that, and the next thing, and before you knew it, people outlawed marijuana. And no one realized what they were doing. That's history.
So you're saying that most people didn't know anything about marijuana?
absolutely.
No, most people knew about cannabis. It was in most of the medicines, most of all of the ships, all of the sails and all of the ropes, because hemp is antifungal, it's anti-rot. It can be out there on the mists in the sea, and the water can get on the ropes and it won't rot.
I think the Navy was still actually using hemp ropes up until the early 70s or something. They hadn't purchased any since like the 60s, but far superior quality.
Canvas. You know what canvas is? The material canvas. That's called that because it came from hemp. It was made out of hemp originally. The canvas.
Yeah, and,
Look up the
and
etymology.
if you think about it, if you say, "Oh, I have reduced extract of mahung plant," right? That doesn't sound so bad, but they call it methamphetamine, and now it's horrible.
Okay, so what was the situation for real? Like you say, people thought that it wasn't marijuana. Well, marijuana wasn't good, and which term was good? Cocaine? No, not which one? You say okay, because I want to take one example because I want to go back to the justification of war. There is a reason why there is a war on drugs today. There's a war on drugs because for the same reason
it's profitable.
The same reason Yura said earlier for justifying war. It is because of the good of the many that outweighs the good of the few.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I didn't say it exactly like that.
Who was Spock here?
Who what?
What?
So I mean, I didn't say it exactly like that.
No, and when it comes to things like that, though, just like with alcohol, it comes down to I don't know, personal responsibility. If you find that I don't know, for most people, if they find that if they drink a certain amount of liquor, that they start falling down and passing out, they go, oh fuck, I shouldn't get that drunk again, and hopefully they don't. And it's the same way with smoking pot. Look how many people smoke pot every day, right? They lead normal lives. They're not stealing cars and stuff like that. They're not robbing banks. It's your next door neighbor. It's your grandma. It's a so large the diversity of pot is so large now. It's not just stone hippies with blacklight posters, listening to Jimi Hendrix albums.
Yeah.
People do it every day, and are very responsible about it. Just like with their liquor, just like in the '80s. Everybody in the '80s, is saying, did a few lines of coke, right? Most people didn't abuse it. You got the same number of people that are. If you're an abuser, if you're somebody that's like, you get a drug and you go, I like this, I want more. You're going to do that with alcohol. You're going to do that with cocaine. You're going to do that with heroin. Whatever your drug of choice is, right? That's when you get the person help, right? You just don't make it illegal and throw them in jail. You get them help. Whichever method you use, but you just don't throw them in jail because they stuck a needle in their arm, and that's ridiculous, Anyway, that's.
I mean, yeah, when I was doing methamphetamine for a long time, I never stole, I never hurt anybody, I went to work every day. I mean, I was a functional member of society, so I mean, it was just my choice to do this drug to make me feel a little better, and watch Cartoon Network.
Yeah. So, look. Let me just say one more thing, and I'll let you finish. I think I touched on this the other day when we were talking, but I spent 95 days in a VA hospital in Oregon before I left. Okay, well, I'm a bit nuts in the head. You may have known I have issues, but I was going there for like a PTSD, depression, anxiety thing, suicidal things like that. Well, when I got there, I realized what this place was one of the country's the country's largest drug and alcohol and along with PTSD treatment in the military or in the whole VA system. So there's like 500 guys there, most of them meth heads, alcoholics, shit like that. Been that way their entire life. When I got there, I had to take a pee test, right? And it came up positive for THC. I told him that I smoked pot, right? Well, the guy looks at me. He's sitting behind his desk, and he says, how often do you use? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, how often do you use drugs? And I said, I'm not a drug user. I said, I smoke some pot, but that's about it. He goes, well, you're on federal land. This is, it's a federal offense. So you're a drug addict, right? So he's asking me questions like you would ask some guy that's strung out on coke or meth, looking for his next fix. He's like, well, how much do you spend on it, right? And I'm like, well, an ounce or so a month, maybe two, if it's a good month or something. But it depends, whatever, And then he looks at me and he goes, what do you do when you run out of your drug? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's expecting me like, well, I start stealing from my family and I start, robbing liquor stores and I start jonesing and shaking and everything. And I finally looked at him. I said, no, I if I'm broke, I wait till payday, unless my guy will front me a bag for a few days or something, But I said, it's not like I go behind the alley somewhere and give hand jobs for $20. If that's where you're driving at, But they were so convinced, that I was some kind of drug addict because I smoked some pot in a very pot-friendly state where it's actually now legal right after I left. I'm pissed off about that. But
you should have never believed.
But yeah, it's they looked at me like I was some kind of crazed maniac, and I'm like, look, dude, that's not even why I'm fucking here, But they made it their mission, right? To well, when you're here, you can't use. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I said that's no fucking problem, I said I'll wait till I get out of here, But yeah, the federal government hasn't figured out a way yet to tax it and make everybody happy, So until then, they're going to keep it the way they have it.
Okay. Can we go back to the subject, which is when the law was passed?
When the law was passed?
Yeah, at the time the law was passed.
Well,
Yeah,
I know. I know the first drug law was 1914, and I believe that was just that basically the medicine companies had to post the ingredients on their and then shortly after that the other ones started coming in.
Yeah. So there is a law saying you should tell people what they are eating or taking.
Yeah.
Is that That
Yeah.
was the first one.
But yeah, that's the first one, and that I don't have a problem with that because I would like to
Okay.
know what I'm putting in my body. So,
Okay.
but it's when I make a choice to take something and that's restricted. That's when they're breaching on my freedom of choice.
Yeah. So at one point they decided to say people should not take my marijuana or drugs. Well, marijuana became a drug. Okay, and my question is, as at that point, was it for the good of the many, or was it for the good of the few?
It depends on how you because
the
they
legalization of cannabis was not for the people.
So it was for the good of the few.
There was a few people involved as to why cannabis was made illegal in the first place.
Yeah, the timber industry, William Randolph Hearst,
Newspaper
yeah.
owners, yes. And Harry J. Anslinger, who was in charge, who was the head of the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. No, not. It wasn't ATF. It was just
the revenuers.
It was just the alcohol that they were in charge of. And then when alcohol became legalized, he ran a smear campaign with William Randolph Hearst in his newspapers, and that's how that all started. And he was Harry J. Anslinger was the main reason it became illegal. And one of his original and main arguments was because if alcohol became legalized and they had nothing else to go after, then him and all of his boys were out of a job.
Hey Luke, have you ever watched the movie Reefer Madness?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do me a favor. Okay. Watch them. It's a little over an hour long. It's called Reefer Madness. It was made in what, 1935? Help me out here, guys. That era. Anyway, this movie was put out as a documentary. Okay, about the evils of marijuana, the reefer. Okay, now if you watch this movie, now it's a cult classic for anybody that likes to get high. Matter of fact, I've actually done acid and watched Reefer Madness a couple of times.
People who don't smoke.
But
too.
but even if you don't smoke, it's hilariously funny the way they depicted somebody for just taking one puff. You know,
Okay.
the psychotic behavior that was almost instantaneous. You know, lack of any restraint. You know, girls getting really easy. You know, and yeah. But you watch it, and I guarantee you, even if you're against pot, I guarantee you'll watch that movie and you'll laugh and you'll go, "That's pretty fucking funny."
And as I've said, they changed the name of it so people didn't know what they were. They demonized, and they changed the name of it and then demonized it, so people didn't know that there was this brand new thing all of a sudden called marijuana that they'd never heard of before, that was a danger to their kids, and they got afraid of it and banned it, just like any other effective scare tactic. It was not about science.
For humanity.
I'm sorry?
Huh?
This was a bad thing for humanity.
Absolutely, because then cannabis was not being able to be used in any medicines. People were getting 2 years. People were getting 4 years in jail for 2 joints. People were the people were not able to grow hemp, which is non-psychoactive. It's just the plant, a different version of the plant, technically, and that made the sales and ropes and things like that.
Yet the government was still growing it.
Time magazine. No, it wasn't Time magazine. Popular Mechanics, I think it was, had. It was in 1937 that cannabis became illegal, and that year they had hemp as the number one cash crop, the next billion-dollar industry, and
So
that
again,
year is.
my question is: was it for the good of the many, or for the good of the few? You're saying
How
it's for
have I not? Yes, we've.
Said yes
think
about
we've.
5
I
times.
think
Just
we've
saying.
blatantly up and down.
Can I finish my phrases? Come on,
Yes,
I cannot
for
place
the
one
few.
phrase.
We said for the few.
The
For the
few.
I
few.
know. I was resuming what you were saying, like all of you, okay? Because I want to make sure that you understand where I'm going to. Because what you are saying is that war is justifiable if if it is for the good of the many, okay? And in the particular case of cannabis, it wasn't for the good of the many, okay? So the good of the many would be cannabis should be legal, should not be illegal. Do we agree? This is what you're saying, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Right, and thus
Yeah.
wars should not happen.
So yeah, there is no war against illegalization of cannabis. How can you explain there is no war against the law? There is
Again,
no
No.
war.
When I brought up drugs, it's because over here in America, drugs are not just illegal and it's illegal. In 1974, I think it was Ronald Reagan declared a war on drugs,
just
And
say
he-
no.
and he upped the budget for the for the DEA, which has been continuously upped every year, continuously spending more money, to
Yeah, so
to
again,
combat this nonsense.
that's against the drugs. So it's
Yes.
a war where
So when I
you're
brought it up, I was asking about the justifiability of the war on drugs.
yeah.
Well,
It is-
when you use the word war, okay, that's like saying the jungle in Africa is the same as the rumble in the jungle between Muhammad Ali and
No. When we talk about war, we are talking about war. Have you seen people get raided for cannabis?
Oh,
They
yeah,
come in
there's-
full SWAT gear, kill the dogs, cut the cameras.
I've watched it happen.
Those
There's a
are
guy.
100% war tactics.
There's actually somebody still in prison serving a life sentence for about an ounce of pot.
Okay.
That-
So there is a war going against the cannabis, the use of drugs. Okay.
Yes.
That's okay. Why isn't there a war going forward towards? Why aren't there people fighting? Like maybe you're saying it's a must of us. You agree with that? Most of the
are
people.
fighting for legalization, but we're not. But it's
For
not.
the good of the many, it should be legalized.
People are, yes, it very much should be, and it very slowly is. And people very much are fighting for it, but they're fighting for it in the political arena, they're not going down and busting down DEA agents' doors and killing them or taking them, killing their dogs and taking them hostage into a jail cell for doing.
No, of course. They don't use force. Is that what you're saying?
Let's not forget, Luke, how we went down this path was you said something, what about the little wars, which was vague to all of us, which caused us to all start speculating what you meant, and then someone mentioned war on drugs, and then we went down this path.
Yeah.
But it's not the war, this is not war of militaries against militaries that we were talking about.
Exactly.
It's just the word used differently.
Right. That's the point I was trying to make earlier with the jungle thing.
But it's really not. It's really not.
Tug of war is different than shooting bullets.
Yeah,
and people getting shot and dying.
Yeah, the war is
people are getting
arresting
shot.
individual citizens for using a drug. It's not going up against my personal army.
But if you have guns and pull out a gun, they will kill and they will shoot and kill you.
Well, sure,
So
but
what's the difference?
and I just go to court and pay my ticket, it's still
But
your
that's
war
not-
on drugs, but we didn't have a literal war.
Yeah.
Well, you did. You had soldiers with weapons and full SWAT gear come and bust down your door and take you and hold your family at gunpoint. How is any of that not war tactics? How is any of that not literal war?
Well, maybe the guy just wrote me a ticket and I went and paid it.
But okay, so then you're living in a state where it's decriminalized and you're not in the war on drugs.
You're a rebel, man.
But
I'm not going to pay my ticket.
I'm talking about the still existent, still very present danger of full-fledged SWAT members with fully automatic weapons coming and shooting the dogs with full, in multiple in numbers. This is
we're
actual
arguing two different things.
war.
We're arguing two different things. That is warlike. That is war. I hate that. But that's not what the war on drugs means.
Yes,
The
war
war on drugs
it's been more and more militarized since the 80s.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Look, man,
Stop.
man, it's just terminology, okay? The war on drugs includes that.
It's been ever more and more. How can you say that? It's been ever more militarized since the 80s.
Because that's not what Nancy Reagan meant. And even though that's happening, and that is very warlike, and you're correct, that is not what Nancy Reagan meant.
That is what
Mom,
Nancy Reagan
Dad,
meant.
don't fight. You remember what my therapist said? I'm not
Nancy
supposed to see
Reagan meant,
fight.
like, tell school kids to say no. That's part of their war on drugs, is putting out a PSA announcement.
They told kids to
that's
say
called
no,
propaganda.
And now
then they
someone's going to
then they
say that's
sent
war
men
propaganda.
with full people with weapons to kick down the door of their parents.
They took tanks in play and knocked down doors with tanks.
Yes,
In the
they
80s.
did.
Yes, and that's very warlike, but when they say the war on drugs, that's not what they mean.
Yes,
why
it
did they
is.
do it?
That's what
Then
they're
why-
doing.
Yes, that is what they are doing, but that is not what the war on drugs means.
Yes, it did. What do you think the money in the war on drugs was for? It was for those tanks to go knock down doors. How is that not
You really
war?
think that's what Nancy Reagan was thinking about?
Yes.
Okay, I don't.
In a
Drugs
very,
off the streets.
in a
Not to the
subliminal
children.
way.
Not to the children, but to their parents. Absolutely.
Yeah, Nancy Reagan was telling children to narc on their parents, man.
Yeah, which is
Exactly
horrible.
what
but
she was
it's
telling
like
you.
people use the word war for any type of crusade against anything, and that's what they meant to
armed
convey.
militarization.
Look at this. We have militarized troops going and knocking down doors.
Yes, these things are all true and
We have
obvious.
propaganda.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
happening in the war on drugs.
Well, there's no need to state that. Everyone knows that. But when people say the
Then
war,
why are you arguing against it?
because if you have a crusade that turns into something like a real war, but when you originally named it the war on cancer or the war on tooth decay, if it turned out that people started using tanks, well, yes, you'd be correct. That
They
if
also
people
used espionage.
in
But
the
they've
war
done
on
that
tooth
from
decay-
the beginning of the war on drugs. From day one of the war on drugs, the point of the war on drugs was to get Congress to spend more money in the DEA. So from day one, the point of the war on drugs, the term, was more money for more weapons to go kick down more doors, to go arrest and or kill more people. That is exactly.
Actually, I think that no, I don't think that's true. I think the original thing was that less people would use drugs, so that they would actually be kicking down less drugs. They'd be with mostly education.
Then why were they putting more money into the police to go kick down doors?
Well, part of getting less people to use drugs was they were trying to create.
So part of kicking down less doors is kicking down more doors.
They want that threat so that less people will want to take that risk. It's
and
stupid.
have less people. I mean, that's exactly. It's.
You can tell me it's stupid, like I don't know that it's stupid. I agree it's stupid, but that was their intention.
You
James?
just seem to be arguing against the point that you just agreed. You're like, oh yeah, I agree with it, but I'm just going to argue against it with stuff that really doesn't make sense.
Well, you're
James?
just stating everything that we all know and saying that I don't know it.
And you're arguing against it, going, yes, I know
I
that.
think you
but
guys are
I'm-
describing the same thing, but calling it something different. Basically, you got and James, I'm sorry, but I would like to respond to something you said about dental police or something. if you know about a man named Vermin Supreme, who's once again running for president of the United States, he is very aware of the secret dental police, and that's why you should not vote for him for president. So yeah, checkmate.
I feel you. No, hey, Circle. Look, man, I agree with you entirely about this whole militarized thing. It horrifies me. I am 100% on your side with it. I just don't think when they named this thing the war on drugs that they weren't talking about a whole package of education, regular law enforcement, maybe judges handing out a little bit stiffer sentences to people that were already being arrested in the same manner. I don't think they envisioned this whole thing it's become. I'm not saying they didn't envision part of it, but wow, I sure
exactly
didn't.
when they poured
In the 80s, I didn't think about all this militaristic shit happening.
James, are you aware of Humboldt County?
People would have said no and shut it down if they would have said this is what we're going to do.
If people knew, that'd be true.
I mean,
if people knew,
they said it. They said it. It's a war on drugs, but people thought exactly what you're thinking. And then my question for that, my response and question to that would be, then where would all that money be going into?
And
the
why was
DEA. I'm not talking about the money that might have been spent on education. That I understand. Then
It's a
why
budget.
why every year has more money been consistently put into the DEA if it was meant to lower
it's a big
that?
budget, and it goes a lot of places. It's for more secretaries, you know. But anyways, I have lived in Eureka, so yeah, I know Humboldt.
Oh yeah, I lived in Southern Oregon, Grants Pass. Yeah, so sure. Yeah, Humboldt County,
So-
man.
The next question I was going to ask was, I had the answer to about the war on drugs. Is it justified? You said no. So would the war for drugs be justified? And
No,
what,
war for no.
It's
No.
not a war. It's not a war for drugs.
No.
Yeah.
Putting money into militarization and all that for making drugs legalized would be complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
we all agree that no one should go to literal war for our freedoms right now. Maybe soon, but not right now. And we should try
Why?
to use the means we have legally necessary through media, whatever, you know, and try and stop this nonsense.
why don't you
on that.
use force?
Well, how can you use force against the? I mean, we might have an automatic rifle, but the government has drones, and besides that, there's no point in using force. This is a political. This we can't fight back against the police. You fight back against the police, and you're automatically even in more trouble, no matter if you're justified or not.
Right.
And so that's just ridiculous. The place this needs to be fought is in the
Courts.
in the courts and on the floor of Congress and places like that. That's the place where it will be scheduled down. You know, they can change the schedule of it, reschedule it.
And your state houses.
Yes.
Yeah. But I maintain, this is just going to piss you off a little more, Circle, but I do love you, I swear, brother. But I maintain that we could call
Hey,
it.
I thought I was your bitch, man.
No,
God damn, man. Here
hey.
you go already, man.
No, wait, come on, man.
It's been what, a week or two, man, and you're already looking at other guys, man. Fuck.
No, I'm trying to develop an arch nemesis here. Not an arch nemesis. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, no, but it would be wrong to call it this from a PR marketing standpoint. But we could call that the war on tyranny, but it wouldn't be a literal war.
Yeah, and then you sound like a teabagger, you know.
Yeah.
Tyranny.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the choice of words we use. It's phrasing. It's all when you like when the war of drugs. It's how you market something. That's all it is, right? Calling it the war on drugs. Militarizing the police to chase down street level pot smokers. Or some guy that's just trying to make a few bucks and selling a little bit extra weed. To help pay his his bills and shit. It's I don't know. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I'm to that point anymore. You know, the war on drugs started in the 80s. How well has it been so far? You know,
Well, it
for
started
all for
before
all.
that, but it was
Well,
made.
yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is for as long as it's been going on, you know, and you know, you see these TV shows, or the Coast Guard will say, we caught, you know, these bundles of drugs coming from, you know, the Dominican Republic, and they washed up on the floor, you know, or we got this boat, you know. For every boat they catch, or for every bundle they catch, there's like, I don't know, infinity-ish
Yeah,
zillions.
congratulations! You just drove up the price by 1%, you assholes.
Yeah, the price is up as high as it is because of the danger. You
You
know,
made it profitable.
it's the risk you're willing to take. You know,
So-
That's why I'm willing to pay $60 an eighth, because somebody could get bucked
damn,
along the way.
Let's go back to what
60 an eighth. Damn.
If it's
That's gonna
super
be good
kind,
shit.
otherwise 50.
what justify war. Let's go back to the basis, which is what would justify war. Because if what you're saying is true, if what you're saying is correct, then we would have reason to wage a war, because we would be the few, and we would be the many, and we would need to fight for the good for the many. We would
Yes,
must
yes, but
fight
not
No.
physically though.
It's
Hey,
no.
whatever
It's
we
fighting
can.
for the-
We would
it's
have
fighting
to
for
fight
the-
for the good for the many.
It's not fighting for the good of the many. It's fighting to stop
For
the
what's
suffering.
right.
Yeah. Well,
Stop
look,
the
this is really basic, man. It's any inherently negative thing can be justified if it prevents many other more negative things, and that's for anything. Punching someone in the face is an inherently negative thing, but there are times when that's the right thing to do. That's just the
Okay.
way it is, man.
Hmm. So you mean what by that?
Exactly what he said.
I mean that if someone's attacking a bunch of little children at a playground, punching them in the face is the right thing to do.
Yeah. What is relation with what I said? How does that relate with what I said?
You're asking if the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Spock agrees. I don't know. I mean, I thought I was answering you directly.
My question is, why isn't there a war for drugs?
Well,
Because that would just
drugs
harm
don't
the
need
cause.
a war. Drugs aren't a victim. People are victims of the war on drugs. So people need people to stand up for people.
Hey, Luke, can I ask you a question?
There should be a war to protect these people, correct?
No. Laws.
No? There should
You
be a
know?
war
You
to
don't
protect
always
these
go to
people.
war for every bad thing. Bad things happen every day. We don't declare infinite wars like every day.
So there shouldn't be a war.
There should be some wars. I don't know. These are very
Not for the
Luke.
legalization of drugs.
Luke.
Okay, a war against
Do you-
stubbing toes.
Luke, can I ask you a question? Do you talk like this in your everyday conversation?
Well, I'm trying to.
No. I'm serious. I'm not trying to get it's like a yes or no answer, or question, and there's a reason, because you
Yes.
talk like an apologetic. Is war ever necessary? Is war ever justified? If this is justified, why isn't this justified? It's an argument that we're talking like things that are happening in the world, experience, opinions of the war on drugs. Was World War II the last good war that was justifiable in the way that we look at justifiable things in this world? Okay, and when you just continuously ask people, is war ever justified? Well, if you believe this, then you believe this. It's like the apologetics brought into this discussion, and everybody in this room is I don't know, talking like like regular people would have a discussion. It's not a hypothetical thing. It's people having a discussion. And
So I ask bad question. Is that it?
yeah,
Well, you asked it over and over.
yeah, the same thing. It's almost like, yeah, it's the apologetics thing, you know. Can we absolutely be certain that there's never going to be another justifiable war? And if so, what is it? And could we be absolutely sure?
Hey,
That's what it sounds like you're going.
I'm asking about what you want to do now.
So how about your
And
opinion
we all
on it?
answered we don't want to literally make war. So
Yeah.
Since you have your answer, are you going to keep asking?
No, I want to know why.
We've explained it to you.
Because we all think it would be bad.
Right now, if it's the good thing we agree. The good thing would be to make war.
No.
No, we don't agree.
No.
Okay, it wouldn't be justified to make war right now.
On what?
On
Not
what
for
basis?
legalization of drugs.
Against the persecutions.
We're not looking for a war to. We're not looking for a war to decriminalize or to legalize.
But
You know, we're looking for legislation. We're looking in voices in government.
Several of us have told you in detail exactly why we don't think that would be good. Someone said about going up against the police. Someone said, you know, a lot of people said a lot of things about why they don't think that should literally happen, and yet you keep asking.
That's because
Also,
it doesn't make it goes against your belief that the war on drugs is
No, it doesn't.
good.
No, Luke, if we legalize the drugs, then
Yeah.
the war on drugs ends because there's no legal reason for them to fight.
And we didn't have to have a war to have an end of the war on drugs.
There we go. So clear and simple, the reason that there should not be a war to end the war on drugs is oh shit, now I just
Stoner!
Is because there would be less net suffering if we if we do it
because there's a way to accomplish the goal without war.
Yes! That's a
That's
perfect
why.
answer.
That
If
is
there's a
why.
way to do it without war, then you do it
Because
without
we
war.
don't have to go to war for it.
Yeah.
So you should
So you should what?
go to war.
You should do exactly the opposite of what he just told you?
Yeah.
Are you listening to what he said?
You say you don't have to, but you don't say I shouldn't do. You said I shouldn't do it.
Luke, I believe you're being difficult on purpose, man.
I know. I think you're fucking with us, man.
War should be the
like-
last.
Can I explain the point?
I,
or do you want to-
Luke, I'm seriously. I want to call bullshit. I think you're fucking with us.
Can I finish?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. The question I asked was because there's two opposites.
No, you can't finish. We know the question you asked because you've asked it 100 times.
There's two opposites. There is one side saying we should wage war. There is the other side saying we shouldn't wage war. Okay. I took the answer from you.
Who said we should? You're the only person. So in your hypothetical,
can I finish?
one person.
Can I finish?
The rest of
Can
No.
I finish? Can
No,
I
you
finish?
can't finish. Listen
Can I
to
finish?
Circle.
Can I finish?
No, you
Can I
can't.
finish?
Listen to Circle.
Can I finish?
No.
Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish?
I want a sound tap. I want to. Yeah, I got it down. I want that little part right there.
2 minutes.
Can I finish? Can I finish? Hey, Luke, before this hangout is over, I want you to take 5 seconds and I want you to say marijuana for me because I want to record that.
And clitoris and and cunt and dicks. I like those words.
No, seriously, guys, everybody. I heard Circle say something. I heard Circle say, absolutely, you should not make war in this case. And then I heard Luke right after say, so you're saying you should make war?
No.
If that's not trolling, then what is?
Okay, that's why I'm trying to explain to you when you cut me off. You know, I get the answer you gave me, but the
When we
answer
cut you off because you keep repeating that which we keep telling you, we've answered.
Can I go now?
Okay, just go one more time.
Thank you very much. I'm telling you again for the in fois the extreme time. I understood what you said. Okay, I'm giving you your answers, and your answers are, how can I say, going one against the other.
How?
That's why I was trying to explain to you
No, they
when I
are
was
not.
cut off. So that's why I was
What is the
recapping.
contradiction?
What is
Explain the contradiction. What is A that contradicts B?
okay? The Let's say the answer on what is on to the question, is the war on drugs justified? The answer is no. So the only and we should yeah, I love that guy.
They're band-aids, man.
Oh, for you? Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
For your heads. The shoe hurts you.
Not for my cheeks because I'm.
No, no, no. I'm gonna tell you his contradiction because I can say it much faster. He's gonna say we say the war on drugs is unjustified. Thus, you should make war against it. And we're contradicting ourselves if we don't say that we should make war against the unjustified thing. Someone earlier said something about stubbing your toe. You know
We
what?
don't need to.
It's unjustified when someone
You
stubs
said-
their toe. We don't have to make the
we don't
war
make
on
Because
stubbing
stubbing
toe.
our toes. We should have a war on stubbing toes because it's the needs of the many would be to not want to stub our toes.
And I'll be General Stubby.
We do have wars and betones. We do have
You know, it's how you use words. Okay.
Okay.
The use of words, you know, is especially with the English language.
Yeah, but I don't.
You know, sometimes you have to, when you use words, you have to use context.
Right, you could make the figurative war against the stubbing of toes
Absolutely.
by padding all coffee tables. You know, we're going to try and pad all coffee tables around the world, and it's the war on stubbing of toes. But it's not literal war.
So I mean,
can
Luke,
you hear me?
Luke,
Hello.
Luke, that's
Can you hear me? The first one.
I'll be right back.
I said shoes. The answer is shoes.
But Luke, the reason why James and Max were butting heads there was because they were of this equivocation that was being made between the figurative war and the literal war.
Yes.
Okay, so figurative war just means we may not want this attempt to do that, but the reality is that when you actually do military tactics, it's no against something that you've declared war on. It's not a figurative war.
Well, that's going back to me in Circle, where it's like there was this whole thing that's a figurative war that includes a lot of literal war.
Yeah. So the answer, the last answer that I got from Max, which resumed it correctly, was we don't need to because we don't need to wage war. We, as James, Max, and Uriah and me, we don't have to wage war. We don't have to because other people are already waging.
No. I said we do. We, as in the people who want drugs legalized or who think they should be, do not have to wage a war because that's not the way that this is going to be won. I told you that already. This is a political arena. They are waging actual war on it, and we need to go into the political arena and get the laws changed. If the laws are changed, they have nothing they can legally war on.
And he's already said that in detail many times, and the rest of us have agreed with him in detail many times.
So how is it different of what I'm saying?
Because I don't know. Do you think we should should I literally go down to the police station right now and start shooting cops? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, I don't know what you're saying then.
I do understand that you don't understand me. That's why I ask. What do you understand I'm saying?
See, okay, listen. When me and James were arguing over semantics there,
I
it's because
understood you.
he felt
Do you understand me?
he felt it was a figurative war, and I said it was not a figurative war. And as I say not a figurative war, I'm also saying we should not do actual war.
Right,
It's
and
like that's not a
understood
figurative
that.
war.
it's confusing because
I'm
there is
saying
a lot of,
actual.
Max,
right,
you don't need
and
to
our
explain
argument
it to
was
me
confusing
again. I
because
understood that.
Then there
It's
should
there's
be
a
no
lot of-
that is
question.
not listening to me.
there's a lot of
because
literal
whenever I ask what I
Then
am
there should be
saying,
no question, because if you understand that, then there's nothing you can be asking about.
so
It's
no need
already
to
answered.
discuss. No need to discuss. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying you're asking a question that I already answered a million times. You're just using a few different words to ask it, and thinking that I'm going to somehow give a different
Yeah.
answer. But you
You
asked
totally
the same
stalled
question.
it, man. We've been broing out. We've been going on subject to subject. I've been getting lots of opinions. I had a real argument with Circle over something that's actually kind of ambiguous, that was worth arguing, I felt. And
Discussion
then,
is awesome, but
and our argument over semantics was kind of important, and it plays out pretty well to show how important it is that you don't understand it on the most fundamental basis. Like him and I, at least we both give each other credit while we're arguing that we do understand the difference of literal and figurative war. He's just saying that I'm misclassifying this one particular war. At least we both know what we're talking about, you know?
And I
And
say,
you're saying that I don't know?
well, you're a theist, therefore you're prone to equivocation fallacies.
Yeah.
Mm.
from the questions you're asking,
And when I ask what I said, you said I don't know. I don't listen to you. Basically.
no, I said if you were listening and understood,
Yeah.
then the question you asked makes no sense now in context.
What did I ask?
You
You
asked
understand?
me,
Yeah.
yes, you asked me about no, I'm blanking out again. Yeah, you asked me about God, I just had it.
I'll repeat it.
Okay, why we should not go to war to legalize drugs?
And you
Why
said
we should not war? And I said no, we shouldn't,
And
because
it answered you like 10
we
times in detail.
because we could do it in a different way, because we don't need to go to war.
Can we move on from that?
I mean,
We've
you
been asking that for 20 minutes now.
No. Well, I am not asking that for 20 minutes. You are.
No,
the-
exactly. You've
thinking
been
of
on
that.
this for 20 minutes now. We've all
Yes,
been
we have.
asking that. And
Hey.
now that we finally ground it to the point where you can't keep playing your little game, you're asking, you're trying to go, oh, well, let's
Yeah.
just move on.
Circle did not want to repeat his answer for 20 minutes. He really didn't. He wanted you to accept it the first time he said it.
I accepted the first time he said it.
then why
I
did you
said,
react?
okay, I do agree with you. I said that you can. It's registered. You could go there, look at it, and listen to me. And I said, yes, you are right. I said you are right so many times, you wouldn't believe it. How many times I said,
If
yes,
he's so
you're
right, then why are you
yes,
agreeing
you're
with him
correct.
over
Yes,
for 20
you're
minutes?
right.
Why
Yes, you're
are
correct.
you
But
still on
Could you listen
it?
to me?
Hey, Circle. Hey, Circle. Do you think
No.
you're a handsome dude? Do you think you're a handsome
No.
dude? No, you don't think
No.
you're a handsome
You
dude?
should. You should.
Okay. Well, I think
My
you're
wife does.
Oh, okay.
My wife does.
You're handsome. I agree with your wife. Hey, Circle, do you think you're a handsome dude? Well, you know what? I agree with your wife that you're handsome. Hey, Circle, do you think you're a handsome dude? Hey, can we talk about this for like 20 minutes?
That's really funny, James. Bravo. Okay.
And how do you know that?
we all know that Max is amazing.
And how do you know that?
How do you know that he's amazing?
And how do you know that?
Yeah.
Is that absolutely true?
Is that the beginning of the word?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I just about had to have a war with a jar of Miracle Whip.
Did you win?
I join you in the war on jars.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won. The little fucking thing tried to get away, so I kicked it. And
You broke it.
I kicked it, and it learned its lesson, and it stood still. so I could open it.
There you go. Don't go away. Stay with me.
Yeah, I'm a warmonger.
Yeah.
I could just see you with cherry bombs and little M80s, set up little arms around it.
To continue the discussion and where I was stopped was the war is already waging against, well, for the legalization of drugs. It's waged at the level of the government. And this is what I wanted to show you when I asked the question, is the war on drugs justified? Okay.
No,
Today,
absolutely not. Absolutely, it's not. It's not universally funded. It's not funded like the war, the opposite war is. It's not united. There's not people that are getting orders pushed down to them to go and do this and having money to back that up. That's not what's happening. This is people on an individual level who decide this is not right, and I'm going to go in and say something about it. And enough of these people, if enough of these people can get together, that can change. But that is not militarization. That is not anything.
Of course.
Anything
I'm not
that has
talking,
to do with war.
I'm not talking about militarization. I'm talking about war at another level, which is the government level that is actually going right now. Okay, and the reason why the war started was because people realized, yes, drugs can be legalized. There is the answer to.
You know, it's because people
But you're
said that
conflating.
the illegalization of drugs is doing more harm than the drugs themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what they
you gotta
realized.
go into detail. It's more like an occupation, an internment, an extermination, an imprisonment of a people. You could say that, like, okay, let's say Poland. Okay, when the Germans were fucking with the Poles and imprisoning a lot of people, there was the Warsaw Ghetto uprisings. Those people actually used some warfare against it. Just like if someone invades a big drug kingpin's compound, there might be a little battle there. But in general, it's the people that have all the tools of war coming and peacefully taking away people and fucking up their lives.
There's one person that needs to be in this hangout that it's a shame that he's not here. A defender of justice, Von Helton. But no, there was a. I'm not really sure of.
Was that a social justice warrior joke?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right,
I
cool.
missed
I got
it,
it.
damn it.
The Punisher,
All right,
you know the.
Go ahead.
I guess you need to know the
Make
guy.
sure.
Yeah, Luke, there's a guy on YouTube. I've talked to him. I've been in hangouts with him before about the war on drugs and such like that. He can give you, I think, by far the best argument for getting rid of the war on drugs, if that's where you're going, and the reasons that they became illegal in the first place.
Okay. Patrick,
And
I
his
have a
name
question.
is
I have a
Truth.
question.
Truth. His name is Truth Begets Heresy.
Yeah, Patrick, do you believe that I think the war on drug is a bad thing?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
And I think that's where.
Let me be clear.
You did at the beginning of this conversation
let
say
me be
if
clear.
something
Let
is illegal
me be
because
clear,
it's the law,
please.
you would be
Can I
happier.
be clear?
You were
Yes,
clear
can
earlier.
Please be clear, because
Can I
all
be
this
clear
time we
at
can't.
that point?
Patrick
Can I
has
be
no
clear at that
reason
point?
to understand.
So you will stop assuming things about me?
I'm not assuming it.
Well,
You
not
said
assuming
that.
about you,
I
and that's
said-
why
You said it word for word.
No,
After
no.
you talked for
Well,
30
you will
minutes.
look. You will look. It's registered. You will look what I
Yes,
said.
you'll look back and you'll see you said if something is law, you will be happier if you follow it.
Yes, of course I did. I said that. I still believe that.
Thereby, drugs should be illegal
Don't accuse
because
us
they're
of
already
assuming
illegal.
things about you.
Let
You're
him give him.
anything. You already said it.
There's a
Patrick's
difference.
was that he
Mom.
doesn't
between
position,
what
because he
drugs
doesn't assume things
should
about
have
you.
been before and how drug should be used today. Before and today, we are not at the same time. You know, when the law passed, before in the past, when the
Before
law
and
passed,
today, that is so vague.
like when the law passed before, like the first time it passed.
What law? What drug?
The law against drugs. The law against drugs, James.
Which one?
There's not
Do
a
you follow
simple
me,
law
James?
against
Do you
And-
follow me?
And
James,
how do
yes?
people use them
You good?
differently now than
Okay,
before?
so the law against
Well, I like
drugs.
to put them with my
Can I
butt.
please finish, my friends? Come on.
Give us your opinion.
Okay, so today, it's a good thing there is a war to legalize drugs. Okay, it's a good thing.
If you want to call it that, okay.
Okay.
Okay, but just remember a
I
figurative
don't
version of
call it
war,
that.
not a literal version of war.
No. So yeah, it's not little. Well, we don't need tanks to make drugs legalized.
So are you
Yes, 'cause
supporting a
we don't
figurative
need-
war?
As you can see in the USA right now, today, in the USA, there are states that are removing the laws against drugs.
Do you support
They
my
are.
war against my own starvation, where I go to work and make money so that I don't starve? Do you support my war on my personal starvation? Is that how you're using war? I don't get it. Do you support my war on letting my bladder burst when I go piss? I don't know. What are you trying to do with the word war here?
Hey, I had a war trying to pee earlier. It was hard because I had to pee really bad, but I didn't want to lose any of this conversation. So, yeah, I'm feeling you on that part.
Well, that's why you turn off the camera and use a bottle.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah, exactly. That's why I turned off the
I don't
fucking
even
camera.
turn off the camera. It's that kind of party.
No, James,
Well, you're
I don't
a
want to do
shameless
that.
little whore anyway. But
The difference, James, to answer your question, the difference of war, there is a difference. I do agree with you, and it's not the same thing. It's a discussion you have with Max earlier. There is two kinds of war: the literal war and the figurative one. And the one I am talking about was the figurative one.
Yet
Because-
our answers were all addressing you as if it was a literal one, and you did not correct us for like a half an hour.
I tried to.
No, you didn't even try. You had
Yes.
plenty of times. All you did was repeat your damn question, and what we did is we even detailed what our figurative war against the war on drugs would be. We just didn't call it that, and you knew we weren't calling it. And I called bullshit. I called
Yeah.
bullshit that you think that we think that you didn't know.
Yeah.
and if that
Again,
was an issue,
Agreed.
if you ask a question a certain amount of times and people don't seem to understand your question, sometimes like rephrasing the question,
of course. And
which
I
is
wasn't
something
asking
you
the
didn't
question.
do.
I was recapitulate, which is saying what has been saying up till now, and every time I was doing that, somebody was cutting me off.
We were
So-
cutting you off after you
Yeah.
failed to do that and kept continuing to do what you were doing.
No, I'm continuing the conversation right now. I'm talking about
You're
what.
continuing the conversation with flat out bullshit. I'm insulting your presence here, lying to my face right now, and that insults me.
Luke, can we agree that you disagree with the war on drugs?
I disagree with
Yes.
Luke lying to
Yes.
my face.
Yes. Yes, to answer your question.
So
I'm
you
sorry.
are against the war on drugs.
I'm against the illegalization of drugs, not the war itself.
Okay, why? I mean, because we basically all explained why that we're against the quote unquote war on drugs. We'd like to hear why you're against the criminalization or whatever like that. Instead of just continuously asking questions, let's hear your opinions. Let's see what you and not the hypothetical stuff. What's
Yeah.
your opinion on drugs? What's your opinion on World War II against Vietnam versus I mean without trying to get philosophical and apologetic, because I think that's where I think, and that's another word that you guys like to use a lot. I think that's one thing that's kind of driving James a little batty right now. Not trying to speak for you, James, but
He does sound like one of those. Is he one of those?
No.
Well,
no,
he's
he's Catholic, but he uses the argument.
Oh, God.
What?
That explains a lot.
Techniques is what I mean.
Has this guy ever gone full Seitan Bruggenkate?
No, he's not. He's Catholic.
Do they still
No.
use it?
Well, we discussed that last on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then Jesus came in the room and all hell broke loose.
It was pretty fun.
I had to make him rage quit.
Yeah.
I
did my best, but
Yeah,
you know.
you did good. You
Look,
did
I
good.
don't know all you guys, and I didn't come here for frustration. I'm really grateful. I think I kind of broed out in a hangout with Patrick. I think that's why I probably got this invite.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful to meet all of you except one person who has stalled the whole freaking conversation for now it's going on 40 minutes.
Oh God, this sounds like me the other night when I
Yeah.
started.
Can you imagine?
Well, I'd like to say that I'm glad everybody came who came tonight. It's awesome that
Yeah.
everybody's here. Thank
Hey,
you for coming in, James, everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Hey
joining.
James,
Yeah.
are you familiar with the term full stiggy?
No, please
It's
explain.
Bruce Shepard.
No, I don't know who Bruce Shepard is either.
Oh, okay. He's gluteus alunatus or somebody.
I know who that is. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he calls it full stiggy. He's a guy. He's got long hair like me, and he's famous for going to these total rages. And yeah, my rage the other night was what Glute would have called full stiggy. And so yeah, it was pretty entertaining. And I think you would have lost your temper a little bit quicker than I did.
I do. I feel
No,
like
but that was the other night was justified. Luke, he's just Catholic. He doesn't know any better.
I just look. I have very little patience. Circle and I were talking past each other for a while. So something that maybe should have taken a minute took 5 minutes. Forgive me. I think maybe Circle could have stated himself better, or maybe he stated himself perfectly well. Maybe he could have been a little bit more understanding of me, and it would have taken 1 minute instead of 5 minutes, but we somehow hashed it out. We both wanted it to be resolved somehow. This is now I'm dealing with a person that actually is actively seeking for no resolution to occur.
On the subject.
Yeah.
James, there's 6 of us here, and you're the only one who still wants to talk about the past.
I want to talk about the future, actually, ironically. I would like to talk about anything but this.
So can I answer Patrick's question?
I don't even remember what my question was.
I don't know. Can you try?
Because he seemed to want to know.
Come on, Luke.
Stuff.
Can you even attempt?
Come on, James. My therapist doesn't earn enough money if I got to tell her about all this stuff too.
The question was what's Luke? Why is Luke? Why does Luke have that position on drugs being illegal?
Yeah.
What?
Or whatever your position is, please explain it to us and why.
Yeah. There.
Okay. So we don't need to wage war against the war on drugs because it's already being done in the law, and you can see that in many states in the USA right now, many laws have been reducted. Many laws going against drugs are being reducted. They just don't exist anymore. They don't apply anymore to people, meaning that we are winning the war against the war on drugs. But if you ask me if we should stop the war on drugs, I would say we should not stop that war. We should legalize drugs, which would stop the war. But the war itself should not be stopped. We shouldn't prevent policemen to try to stop cocaine or drugs to come into the country. We should not remove that barrier that exists that exists and that allows your children to not consume drugs. They can go to school and not consume drugs without your knowledge. Well, even if some drugs are available, but still, the hard stuff and things like that. So war on drugs, yes. Legalization of drugs, yes. More, please, faster. We are on the good path. We already are on the good path. We are legalizing here in Canada. This is where I am. We are legalizing marijuana right now.
I thought you sounded Canadian.
Yeah, I'm French. So
Okay,
yeah.
I got it.
Well, basically, no. I'm from France. I'm from the West Indies, but I travel. I travel.
I'd like to let everybody know if anybody's watching and would like to join. The link is in the conversation,
Comments.
in the comments in the conversation, the comments in the event itself.
Is it in the comments on YouTube too?
No, I never. No, I don't go to YouTube to do that. I probably should.
It'll show up on YouTube probably.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe only on Google Plus there is a link, and there is no link on YouTube. Well, that's if people are looking at us on YouTube live. Maybe they do that.
Yeah, the other day we had 3 people that actually watched the fucking hangout.
Oh yeah, live.
I think the last I checked on the count when I was looking for a link today for the other, I think there was 36 people that actually clicked on the link. So.
Oh, there we go. I guess I froze. Oh shit, that was weird.
Well, now that I've listened to that, it's just like.
Why couldn't you say that about an hour ago?
Or why even bother saying, well, hey, any country should kind of control what comes in through its ports, or across its borders. And hey, prevent bad stuff from getting to the kids. Okay, yeah, I think does any of that need to be said? And did it need to take an hour to get there?
Well, if you were listening to me,
we were. You were making it sound like you were making it sound like when we would say something, your response sounded to us, okay, at least to me, as if you were disagreeing or saying, well, if you think that, then you must think this. Trying to, it was like you were arguing against it to me. I mean, that's how you were coming across to me.
Yeah, no, I won't let him off the hook. He literally told us that we were contradicting ourselves, and he never told us that contradiction.
Yes, I told you the contradiction.
What was the contradiction?
Well, the contradiction was that you said the war on drugs shouldn't be, and the opposite of the war on drugs would be the war for drugs, and the war for drugs shouldn't be neither.
Oh, let's drop this one. Oh, for
wow,
fuck's sake.
the thing that we never said.
That's
you understand the
none of us ever called our opposition to the war on drugs a war against drugs. That would be nonsensical. Instead of tanks, we have bongs. I mean,
God damn, you already fought the war on mayonnaise, or I'm sorry, Miracle Whip. That was really racist of me to confuse mayonnaise with Miracle Whip.
I know. I can't wait for the cards and letters to come in.
Yeah.
We'll be getting the emails any second now.
That bastard called my Miracle Whip mayonnaise. I can't never look at my mayonnaise jar again the same way.
All right, yeah, once again, I'd like to say that the link is in the comment section, so if anybody would like to join, let's go ahead and go click that and hop on it. All right, anybody have a place the conversation can go from here?
I have a question maybe for you. Do you think that children should smoke weed?
No.
No.
No. Just like I don't think kids should smoke cigarettes. I don't think kids, until you're, 16 to 18 for smoking cigarettes or something like that. I understand that law totally. But you know, kids smoking weed, no.
No.
Just like I don't want. It's for the same reason I don't think kids should drink alcohol.
We have clinical studies that show that it's especially bad for teenagers, and beyond that, we have a thing called age of consent, and it's arbitrary. But you know, all these bad decisions, like I'm about to light up a cigarette right now. That's my adult shit, you know. But we arbitrarily call some people kids, and we say no, you don't have those freedoms, and I agree with that.
So why would you remove that freedom from the kids?
Because they're kids.
They're kids and they don't have the age. They're not at the age of consent. You know, it's the same right why you don't let kids like drive cars. You don't let kids do certain things because their minds, their maturity, their So it's not taking away a freedom for a kid to be able to smoke weed. It's something that just it's a freedom that just doesn't exist because it's not something that should be taken away.
So
What?
I mean, it's the same way like when I was a kid, should somebody have given me alcohol?
Why should my parents let me run into the street when I'm 4 years old? Why should they take away that freedom?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna die.
Okay, so you got it. It's harmful. They're not ready. Why are your questions so basic, man?
That's the purpose of a discussion.
No, but asking should we take away the freedom of kids to smoke weed? That's a question that's not even a question because kids don't have a right to smoke.
Yeah, I mean, part of a discussion is like making a reasonable assumption that all the people involved in the discussion have a certain amount of base knowledge and agree on a certain amount of base things like, hey, murder's bad. Like I assume everyone thinks murder's bad in here, and I feel I don't need to ask.
Can you be sure?
Can't be sure, but I don't think it's worth taking the time to ask.
Yeah.
What I wanted to know is the reason why you think not murder, but giving your kids smoking cigarettes or alcohol is a bad idea. Why do you think?
Why is it a good idea?
It's bad for their health and it's addictive. Come on, man. It's so basic.
Why would you want them to? What would be a positive outcome?
Yeah, I don't see neither. I want to know your opinion.
No, kids shouldn't smoke weed.
I just totally unnecessarily told you that it's because it's bad for their health and it's addictive and their brains aren't developed enough to make very good decisions. That is my answer. Please do not ask again.
Thank you, James. The purpose of the discussion for me, when I discuss with someone, is for me to get knowledge from them. So
okay, can't you assume that knowledge from me? Can't you assume that I'm a guy that wouldn't give cigarettes to kids? I assume you're a guy that wouldn't give a cigarette to a kid.
Yeah, but
I assume that without ever talking to you. I assume you're that guy until you tell me different.
The reason why. The reason why you don't give cigarette to kids is not the same reason why I don't give cigarette to kids.
Oh, okay. I'd like to know your reason. My reason is I care about kids.
Yeah.
What's your reason?
Yeah. I don't want them to die.
Oh,
well,
so
that's pretty much what he said.
Yeah.
With different words.
Well, why'd you say it's not the same reason?
Okay. Did you want to talk about that, or should we move on?
What's to talk about?
Because there is a parallel I want to make. You said people should be able to use drugs, correct?
Yes, I believe that adults should be able to commit suicide.
Yeah. So you're saying my kids shouldn't. I should prevent the liberty of my kid, but I shouldn't prevent the liberty of my kid once he's not a kid anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Right, and it's necessarily arbitrary. Okay, so there are going to be some kids that are more mature, and there are going to be some kids that are less mature. but we can't afford to like analyze every kid that in depth. So we have to pick an age and make a law, man.
Okay, so you're talking now about maturity, which is not something you talked before.
I thought maturity would be assumed if we're talking
Okay.
about this.
Age of
Wasn't that
consent.
something I thought would be assumed?
So do you think that maturity is only based on age?
No, I just said that. I said some kids are more mature, some kids are less mature, but we can't really afford the time and money and effort to analyze every kid that in depth and thus create a legal system for each kid. So we have to pick an arbitrary age.
What about adults?
About what?
Adults
The
are the
ones,
other people on the other side of that arbitrary age.
yeah.
What?
Those are can we say that some of them don't have the
Yes,
um
yes, there are adults that don't act like adults. This is,
a-
you
and
know this, man. You should know that we all know this.
should we prevent them to use drugs?
Well, in some cases, there are adults that like might be legally declared incompetent. But that, if you want to get into those details, that's yeah, someone who is legally retarded, very severely retarded. I don't know. Maybe I'd want that. Maybe I'd want to have some restrictions on what drugs they can get a hold of. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that. Giving some retarded kid drugs.
Well, okay, you got me, bro.
I have a weird sense of humor, and I have this mental picture
What's the retarded kids doing cigarettes?
of like Corky, walking down the street. You know, I got drugs, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do. I do apologize for that. My mind really. I mean, I told her my therapist, earns her money, so.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But why did he leave?
Because James made sense.
I'm sorry, bro, but
Yeah, I know. That's why I was saying earlier. I asked him. I asked him if he talked like that on a daily basis, like to everybody, because you're talking like probably like you would talk to people, like if you're sitting there having beers with them or something, and I'm doing the same, and Circle's
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
assume you take showers, Patrick. I'm not going to ask you if you take showers and why you take showers.
Yeah, but it when I said it sounded like an apologetic. I said that earlier. It's not necessarily apologetics, but it's that technique. And like the way he was talking. I mean, there is, and we discussed this in the last hangout. There is probably a bit of language. He speaks English, but understanding context of words and or something.
Man, and I am sensitive. And that's why that kept me from lighting into him for 10 more minutes, because I could feel that French was his first language.
Yeah.
And that made me be a little bit more patient. But then when I analyzed the speech, and I'm like, no, this guy does know what he's talking about. I'm sorry, man, but you just...
Yeah, yeah. That's why, I mean, far be it from me ever to, like, make humor of things, but I was trying... That's what I was resorting to without just going, come on, dude,
I mean, I like the Socratic method, but let's you and I use the Socratic method on something that is not so basic that we should just assume we agree on it already.
And that's why I stay out of a lot of those arguments and stuff like, the morality shit, and is killing ever right, and, when people ask questions like, if it was between saving your family and killing 100 people, would you kill those people to save your family? And
those things are called dilemmas for a reason.
Yeah.
I stay away from dilemmas because they're properly labeled dilemmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Luke. You know, I mean, he laughs at my jokes sometimes and stuff, and he's got a sense of humor. But it's his form of uh, communication is so apologetic, like in his delivery.
Well, yeah. Well, here's me. I feel like he's cheating me because I see, like, Circle over there is just getting super baked, right? Like, I see this guy just blazing, right? And who knows what interesting tangent that guy might have taken us down in that hour, you know?
Oh yeah, that's why, you know, when I first heard of this hangout, man, I was like, fucking sign me up, dude. You know, because I was like, you know, cannabis infused hangout, you know, and the first time I jumped in, they were like just getting over and
Cannabis fueled.
yeah, and
Fueled by cannabis.
yeah, and you know, so then like the one last week, and then you know, Luke was actually a very good participant last week after a few bumpy minutes in the beginning, but because we had Jesus in the room, who basically was telling everybody they were too stupid to understand the Bible because he knew the truth, and you know, when he assumed that being that he kept calling Luke a God believer, right? And like, no, Luke's not a God believer. He's Catholic. You know, they're, you know, and he was accusing Luke of not knowing the Bible or not understanding the Bible the way it was supposed to. Maybe he didn't understand English enough to be able to read a book or some shit like that. And
Like he can't read it in French.
yeah, you know, and I don't know, but it turned into a real.
Fact,
It was
there are no
golden.
French Bibles.
It was golden. It was golden.
Just like G-Man said, there are no starving children. There are no French Bibles.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was
Well,
really
you know-
just indentured servitude.
Well, yeah, God, jeez. I've actually downloaded another one of his videos that he's just recently done that I'm going to be editing in the near future.
I love the internet, but I hate the internet. And the internet, I hate it for one reason, is that you know all those polls you used to hear when you were a kid, like, you know, 80% of Americans don't even know that blah, 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 like something really basic you think everyone would know. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, that's got to be a bullshit poll. There can't be that many people that don't know that.
And then you get on the internet.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that poll was real.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Sealed. Yes, some people really are that stupid. You know.
Unfortunate, yeah. I really I used to strive to believe, you know, and everybody, you know, give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, I still do give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but my, you know, initial hope is not quite the same anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I used to have that. I used to be a total optimistic. I used to think everybody, you know, just had nice thoughts and stuff, and they're left home, and realized that really, honestly, wasn't true. So yeah, I've become more cynical and stuff just through the years of just living through bullshit, you know.
Well, hey, bro, here's the irony of the giving the benefit of the doubt to people. Okay, so Circle, I do give you the benefit of the doubt because I have not asked you if you give cigarettes to 10-year-olds yet.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna assume you don't, and I'm gonna assume I know your reasons why.
Yeah.
And
Don't
that
even
was
smoke.
properly given benefit of the doubt. Yet the one person that doesn't freaking deserve the benefit of the doubt is the one that won't give it to me.
Yeah.
You know, let's say that.
I mean, I understand he's trying to provide good conversation for the show, but it's like.
But it was
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I'd rather talk to people who, like when we were talking about, you know, justifiable wars and the differences, and things like that. How we were talking about, I don't know, like our opinions of how we see things through history, things we've lived through. You know,
There was some nuance there. There were things we could not know. different
can't be
information
absolutely
you
certain.
don't have, and you have that I don't have. And
Yeah.
I was actually learning shit there for a minute.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna say when people talk about like when I was in the army, right? On so many levels. Have you ever seen the movie Stripes?
I love that movie.
You know, on so many levels, you know, on so many levels, that is, you know, except for the Winnebago and shit like that. On so many levels in the beginning of that movie, when they're in, like, basic training and stuff like that, and you know, the obstacle course and stuff, God, it looked like a fucking documentary almost, because it was almost that stupid at times.
Were you Bill Murray or Harold Ramis, or were you Francis?
Oh, I wasn't Francis. I was like the clown. I just found everything funny because, see, I was raised around the military, right?
Yeah.
And the last, I think, year and a half before my father retired from the Navy, he was in charge of a barracks on the Naval Training Center in San Diego, where the guys that were getting kicked out, you know, for, you know, being fuck-ups and stuff. So we used to go there all the time. It was like when we were kids, we'd hang out there and watch the new recruits come in and stuff. We knew what it was all about. I've been through the Naval Sea Cadets just like Von Helton has. I'm very adapt to the military way. I went to the Marine Corps Reserve Devil Pups training, which I would never do again. But shave your head and run around like an idiot for like 2 weeks. But so I'm familiar with it and stuff. And when we got off the bus and everything, and all hell's breaking loose, and they're screaming at us in our face and everything, I started laughing, right? And yeah, that wasn't I did a lot of push-ups for like the first 3 days, but everybody else did too, you know. But yeah, whenever I see Stripes or something, and I see parts of it, and I go, God, that just looks so much like the Army back then. Because it was post Vietnam, before Reagan. I mean, we go out into the field and we wouldn't even have money for gas. You know, we'd go out there and park. You know, no money for ammo, nothing like that. You know, Reagan gets elected, man, and we had bullets to shoot, man. You know, but yeah, you know, I don't know. I have fun with it. You know, good memories. You know, it taught me how to drink. You know.
Hey, Circle. I think I heard someone call you Max. Is that what you like to be called?
I think it's a Reverend is the beginning of that too. I think he has a moniker in front of it. So I mean, you might want to call him, you know, his smokiness or something. Or
okay. Hey, where do you live, dude?
California.
Where at?
Near about 40 minutes out of Sacramento.
Oh yeah.
My aunt has a ranch in Marysville, and my sister married a dude from somewhere else outside Sacramento.
Yeah, when I lived in.
Where are you at, Pat?
I'm in Rhode Island. I'm in New England. But I lived in Oregon, Southern Oregon, for 13 years before I came out here. So we were actually talking about this last time, because he's saying, being from around, hey, take that hit, man. Oh, yeah. But he was talking about being from Placerville or something, and I was talking about how the cable service that I got when I lived in Oregon, we used to get Good Morning Sacramento, or Good Day Sacramento. And I used to watch that every morning, you know, smoking a bowl, doing my coffee, you know. Watching Good Day Sacramento, so it never been there except for driving through once or twice. But I knew what was going on in Placerville. I know what was going on in Elkton. You know, all the local restaurants, Stockton. You know, I knew when the circus was coming to town.
I used to like watching California's Gold with Hugh Hauser.
Yeah. Morning TV just isn't the same anymore, you know.
You said Marysville. I was born in Yuba City.
Oh yeah.
Well, my aunt just flat out says Marysville, Yuba City, because her ranch is like right on the border. She's not even sure which one it's in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to go there when I was 12 and be a cowboy, like from the ages of like 12 to Well, I don't know. I had a lot of baseball going on in the summer, but I'd go be a cowboy
Yeah.
for my aunt.
It's
Yeah.
always interested me how you can go from like city. Well, I mean, not like city, but like rural town and paved roads, and then bam, you're in country, farms and full blown.
It was culture shock for me because I moved from the East Coast, Baltimore, out to Oregon. Where we were like 8 in Oregon. I was like almost like 7 miles from the beginning of town. So it's 7 miles to the town limit. But if you want to go anywhere, actually, it's a bit longer. But now there's every place around here. Just around the corner, man. There's a fucking Dunkin' Donuts, man. I can get delivery up until around 1 o'clock in the morning. In Oregon, when I lived out in the country, I couldn't get fucking pizza delivered. I had to go out and drive and go get it. So
I used to go do the rope swing and tubing at the Feather River, and I used to go dove hunting in Sutter Buttes.
What's that one town out there that people use? I remember my sister was driving up from Southern California to visit me one day, and she actually got stuck in Lodi.
Again?
Yeah. Actually, she's been. I think she's been stuck there twice. I am not kidding you, right? She said it was one town. That was one town that she just fucking avoided like the plague because every time she came close to Lodi, man, her fucking truck broke down or something. Flat tire or something.
John Fogerty is a prophet.
Oh, fuck.
I do. I listen to that song every time I go through there.
Hey, check this out. Okay, I went to school at College of the Redwoods in Eureka.
My sister went to College of the Redwoods.
Oh, that's awesome. How old is she?
She's a couple years, about 53-ish.
Well, we wouldn't have attended at the same time. I'm only 40, almost 42.
Yeah.
But I would make in my Dodge Aries wagon, my little 4-banger Dodge Aries wagon, I'd make that 12-hour drive down to LA on like spring break or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And one time I'm crossing the Golden Gate Bridge, and right as I'm entering the bridge at sunset, comes on "When the Lights Go Down in the City."
Oh, sure. I used to
just by chance.
You know what fucked up Journey for me?
What?
Glee.
What? Glee?
Glee, that TV show.
I don't know why.
Everybody started singing "Don't Stop Believing" and all that shit. They did a bunch of their songs and stuff, and even we get this channel on my cable here that's Palladium or something, and they have concerts on like late at night and shit. I used to love Journey. I had their first 3 albums. Probably wore them out. I think everybody did. Now I hear Journey and I'm like, and I tell my wife all the time. I said, thanks to Glee, who was that one politician that used Journey? Don't Stop Believing. Somebody used "Don't Stop Believing" in a political campaign, and once politicians use political song or rock music in their campaigns, it kind of just kills it for me, But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to bring down. Told everybody I have issues, man.
Well, I gotta say, like, Separate Ways can come on, and I can like that bass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I could like imagine I'm wearing some checkered Vans and shit. Like,
yeah.
I still like that.
Oh yeah, I saw Journey in concert. Still one of the best shows I ever saw. They didn't even take really. The closest thing they had to an intermission was those always too long drum solos and guitar solos and shit like that.
I can name a few bands that are so driven by their guitar riffs, and you didn't know it. You love them as a band. The other members are great, but you love them for their riff, the guitar riff. And Journey is one of them with Neil Schon.
Yeah.
Another one is Motley Crue, Mick Mars.
Absolutely, Mick Mars is a god.
DC.
Oh yeah,
I've seen AC/DC live. I knew Angus was great, but it was just all about Angus when I was there. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad what Mick Mars has turned into, though.
What's happened to Mick?
Oh, he's sick. He's got that bone disease or something. He looks like a fucking skeleton. Haven't you seen the difference in his look? You know, he's all skinny.
Nick always looked kind of sick.
No, yeah. Well, Nick used to have that Addams Family look going, you know.
Yeah.
But no, when they found him after when they broke up for a long time, there was actually a documentary about it. They went out and they went out to look for Mick Mars, and he was like half dead. The disease that he had that was chronic for years. It had always affected his bones and stuff. He had given up before they actually nursed him back and got him back to the point where he could play again. You know, because if you saw him in the later years, he didn't walk around the stage like he used to. He was never really a super animated guy, but he had a character to him. And if you see him the last bunch of years, he pretty much stood there. He didn't do a lot of moving around because it took a toll on him. You know,
when I saw him, when I saw Motley Crue, first of all, Vince had to take way too many breaths, so he wasn't even saying like half.
Yeah,
he was singing a lot of them an octave lower. And
kind of like slurring the words along.
Yeah,
you know?
no, Nicky's bass was perfect, but that's easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had the drummer from Hole filling in for Tommy Lee, and she was spinning the sticks, and it went up in the cage, spinning around like Tommy, and she sounded just like him. It didn't make a fucking difference, and it was all about Mick just going wow, wow. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I saw Motley Crue years ago when Vince Neil could still sing, you know. And then I saw him years later, and I like to call it bands that used to be good. You know, their acts, they kind of almost, when they sing, they almost kind of like loungeify it, you know, like they're in a Vegas lounge. Yeah. You know, they're kind of like moving the words along, and, you know.
I'm not down with that, man.
Yeah.
Rush, Iron Maiden. You know, those guys don't fuck around, man.
Yeah, they sound like they did pretty much years ago. You know, a little older, but, you know, because we all get older and stuff. But some bands, like next month, I think it is, REO Speedwagon is going to come out here. There's a casino not here, far from here. I saw REO Speedwagon years ago, way before High Infidelity and stuff like that. And they were a good band, and they were good live, you know. To me, they were like not a bar band, but not a headlining type band. They opened up for the Scorpions, or I forgot who it was they opened up for, but they were good. But, you know, opening act, right? All of a sudden, they came out with High Infidelity, and they went from being more of an open act or mid-card act to this, you know, everybody knew all the songs from this album and shit. It was just one of those golden albums. And saw them years later, and the only person left in the band is Kevin Cronin. Gary Richrath, you know, the guitar player, that he was known for that guitar, for that band, that sound, he was gone. Even Alan Gratzer, the drummer, you know, after like 20 fucking some years, he finally said, "Look, I can't do this anymore." So it's REO Speedwagon is now Kevin Cronin and a bunch of guys that can play REO Speedwagon music, you know. And his act has gone totally loungy when he sings anymore. You know, it's kind of like, for me, hard to watch, you know.
Have you guys heard the new version? Well, not new. It's not new anymore, but the redone version of Metallica's Enter Sandman. It's pure jazz. It was like.
By whom? By Metallica?
Metallica, yes. Yeah, open air, and it's literally literally like that. It's not rock anymore at all. It's jazz.
Huh.
Well, they should have never cut their fucking hair, man.
I I have two questions for you guys, actually.
30 seconds.
First question. Have you guys heard that and Justice for Jason, where they turned the bass levels up to normal bass levels for a rock album?
No.
Okay, there's a thing about And Justice for All, which I think is a underrated album. I think it's a masterpiece. I think they didn't go to shit until like halfway through the Black Album. And I think And Justice for All is a masterpiece, and I love it. But they turned the bass way down in the studio when they engineered that shit.
Huh.
And that's why it sounds so crisp, because there is no bass really drowning out any. And James is real low on the rhythm, so he's kind of effectively being the bass in a way, making Jason a little bit redundant.
Yeah.
And anyways, someone released it and Justice for Jason, and it's the whole album, and they just turned up the bass to like an average volume in comparison to the other instruments,
Right.
like you would have had in like a early 90s rock album. And I love it. It's beautiful. I love the original for how crisp it is without the bass, with the bass real low, almost inaudible. I want you guys to go hear the new one, revisit the old one, and tell me which one you like better, because I'm having a hard time with it.
Well, they probably both have their good points.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that note, how about Uriah? You want to give a you got anything that you want to? Do you have anything to that you want to wrap up, or any last points, or anything? You can quiet for a little while if he's even in here still.
He's been in and out, in and out, in and out. He can't make up his mind all night.
I think he's having technical problems.
Yeah.
He has service problems at his house, and usually he goes to a different place that has Wi-Fi, but
that sucks.
Yeah.
When he was able to get in, he had interesting shit to say.
Yeah, no, he's got awesome conversation. I love having him on.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say that I had a really great time, and thanks for including me. And I'm begging for future invites because I'd love to do it again.
Go ahead and add the circle, and you'll get an invite every time. Yeah, hell yeah.
Thanks, bro. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thanks for stopping by. It's great.
I had fun.
Great conversation. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you too, Patrick. Thanks for coming.
And say hi to Fido. Whose dog is that?
It's mine and my wife's dog. Little Chihuahua Dachshund mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little kind, yeah.
All right. Well, hey. Yeah. Next thing. If anybody has any topic ideas or conversation ideas, go ahead and email thecircledebateshow@gmail.com or leave it in the comment section.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, all right.
I'll give you an idea right now.
All right.
No freaking ideas. Just show up and shoot the shit. What's on your mind?
Sure.
I think we could do that one. It'd be fun.
All right, that sounds good. We'll schedule one of those nights here. Maybe even the next time. Who knows? All right, sounds good. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until the next time. Bye.